The truth is, Andrew, I never really had a Charlie Parker. But I tried. I actually fucking tried. And that's more than most people ever do. And I will never apologize for how I tried.
Hello and welcome once again to the Cine-Files, where this week we are continuing our exploration of Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. My name is Steve Morris. I am a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Rocha. I'm a writer, producer, host here in San Diego, California, and voiceover artist as well. And excited to be diving back into this film, Steve. And we're about to get into some real interesting moments and some real interesting scenes and the meat of this movie for sure.
And of course, there'd be no way for us to explore this great film without our incredible supporters on patreon.com/the Cine-Files, as well as on Apple Podcasts, where you can get ad-free versions of the show, listen to our Cine-Files short. We just recorded one that should be out while you're listening to this on the Hulk Hogan documentary, and in a broader sense, the responsibility of documentarians and filmmakers when they're doing with real subjects. And yes, we do talk about the Michael film as well, so that you can get on Patreon as well as Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. Another way you can support us here on the show, you guys know this, those of you who listen to the show on the podcast and hear the ads, if you hear a product or a service that you want to try out, please make sure you use our code, because you get a lot of percentages off trying out that product, and you signal to those companies to keep coming back every month to support us here on the Cine-Files. Right now, we've got Quince, BetterHelp, Hims, True Diagnostic, all rolling through right now that you can listen to when you listen to our show there and hear the ads. So if any of those products or services appeal to you, please make sure you use our code to get some money off and signal to them to keep supporting us here on the show.
Well, and I think we should just jump right in where we left off. Andrew was suddenly the core drummer. All it took was him accidentally, we think, misplacing the other drummer's scorebook, playing well on Whiplash in a concert, and now suddenly he's the guy.
Yeah. For better or worse. Yes.
Yep. And we see him looking at his phone, riding on a bus. He gets a text from Nicole who says, "Call me when you're back and I'll come over." So things are going pretty well with Nicole. And then we cut to him. Obviously, we think at his dad's place in the kitchen.
Oh, so how's it going with studio band?
Good. Yeah, I think he likes me more now.
And his opinion means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I have so much feeling for Dad, because as a parent of a son, and you see what your son's value system is, and you know there's trouble coming. He knows that there's trouble, but you can't. It's very difficult to fight a value system in a child or a young adult directly. We've had all our conversations about when we were young men and full of piss and vinegar and all that we wouldn't listen to anybody and all this. Well, this is the other side of it. The dad knows that this is a bad idea, but doesn't know how to get it through into his son's head.
Right. I've never been a father, so I don't know what this is like. So Steve, I'm sure you're experiencing it or have experienced this. Like, it's that thing of like, well, I have to let my child have their independence to choose a thing they want to do, but I know what's coming, and I don't know how to warn them in the right way to be to avoid this stuff while still honoring their desire to do this stuff. And so it's such a tightrope. But I mean, I think their relationship is one of the biggest drop balls in this movie, and I like this movie. But I think that there was stuff to explore here to give us a better idea of why Miles Teller's character gravitates to another father figure who is much more ruthless, much more harsh, much more mentally debilitating to him than someone who loves him so extensively as Paul Reiser does. You might even assume, because they don't really tell us, but you might assume that he's a bit of a, what do they call that, a helicopter parent who's just kind of over him all the time and smothering him with love ever since, and he hasn't remarried. And so it's like, where is his role in his father's life that he needs to branch out and look at this other father figure and let him come into his life? It's a fascinating thing, you know.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Okay.
I guess I'll jump into this idea right now. I was thinking about this a lot today, is the narrative that's created about Dad is Dad wanted to be a writer, failed,
Yes.
and that's why he's a teacher.
Right.
That is what Fletcher says, and that is clearly to some degree what Andrew believes.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I don't think that's the reality. I think the reality is that he was suddenly a single parent and made the choice to give up on his dreams and become a teacher so he could be a dad,
Right.
because that was his greatest responsibility. And so I actually think, and I also think, you know, again, I don't want to say I know this. I don't want to psychoanalyze these characters too much, but I think the abandonment issue of Andrew towards his mother and feeling abandoned by his mother and looking for figures to fill up the things that he is missing. And I agree with you. The softness, like Dad made the choice of, I'm going to be 100% here for this kid and support him in every way I can. And because of Andrew's own issues, and my feelings are senses of abandonment, he seeks other sources for parenting and seeks them in the absolutely wrong place and rejects his dad's love to some degree.
Yeah, and you can create a headcanon, and I'll do so for me, and it's okay to say this, you know, this happens in relationships, that the mom was the one who left, and the mom was the abusive one. The mom might have been the one who said negative things to Neiman and was on him and all this kind of stuff. And so Fletcher replaces that to a degree, in a much more extreme way probably, but replaces that to a degree. And maybe she even felt that Paul Reiser's character wasn't up to snuff for her, which is why she left him. And so that only reinforces Miles Teller's belief about his father in the movie. So it's very possible that that's all jumbling around in here in a psychological way for him.
And they head out, and it looks like it's some kind of a big family dinner with extended family or friends. We don't know exactly who all these people are, but it's obvious that they know them all really well. And we're having the natural chit chat you have at the beginning of a meal. And then someone asks,
So how's the drumming going, Andy?
Yeah, it's going on really well. I'm the new core drummer. So
and just as he's about to get to say his great news and how excited he is and how important this is, in comes a bunch of other people who totally take attention away from him. And these are obviously the other young guys around his age who he has always been in competition with. And it's just so painful to watch how this goes.
Yeah, I I know this feeling. In my family, like there were my cousins on my dad's side. My aunts and uncles always kissed their asses about everything. They farted, and it was the sweetest smelling thing ever in the world. And anything I did was never seen in the same value. I was ridiculed constantly for being a theater person, actor, creative person. Oh, constantly. Never mind that my cousin was just a fucking tennis coach at the local tennis club. But God, he's amazing. So it was like, it was all of that. So I understand this scene so viscerally in my own life, this feeling of like, I have value too, and other people finding value in other people who I'm connected to or who I'm related to. It's such a debilitating situation, because I think a majority of us are experiences, because the favorites are the rarities. The people who are not the favorites are in larger volume in our world, you know?
I think that's totally true. I have totally experienced it. I also think, though, that we all are 20% more sensitive to the times we are slighted and 20% less aware of the times that someone did actually praise us. And so everybody, this is the epiphany I had. This is the Harry Potter epiphany I had, which is I went, Harry Potter is a, picked on kind of loser character who is the hero, who's never getting all the things he wants, and he's not he's not the captain of the Quidditch team, he's not the hero, everyone doesn't love him. And I went, why is this the most popular character in the world when I feel like Harry Potter, but all those other kids who were the prom queen, and why did they like Harry Potter? And the reason is because everyone feels like Harry Potter, including the captain of the football team. And they all feel, even if they're super popular, you can still feel unloved and outside, because that's how humans are. Right. The one other thing about this is there's also a extroverted loud person versus introverted quiet person I don't like, as you know, I don't like crowing about myself. And if I do get up the courage to say, hey, I had a good thing happen to me recently, I would probably say it like that in a somewhat quiet voice, and people frequently wouldn't notice it, and someone else in a louder voice takes all the attention, and then I kind of miss my window. That's happened to me many, many times, and I don't like to shout about myself, you know? And these guys come in because they are football players, and boy, can we talk a lot about how great they are at football.
I love this. Yeah.
And I love, I don't know if she's, I'm guessing she's like dad's sister or something, but she says,
like,
Dustin is heading up Model UN, soon to be Rhodes Scholar, and who knows what all else. And Jim, Teacher of the Year.
Well, hey,
I
listen,
mean,
that-
come on, the talent at this table, that is stunning. And Andy, with your drumming.
It's going okay, Andy?
it's going okay is not the same as everything else she just said.
Yeah.
And he tries to bring it back. Like he's like, oh, I have the attention again. I want to get the attention back. And he says,
Yeah, I mean, it's going really, really well. Actually, I'm part of Schaefer's top jazz orchestra, which means it's the best in the country, and I'm a core member. So I'll start playing in competitions. And actually, I found out I'm the youngest person in the entire band,
which is pretty cool.
I also think, Andrew, I think you said it so well, Steve. Like, we focus on the negative, right? His aunt and uncle don't understand band or don't understand, but football they can understand. Football is so Americana, right? That it's a pervasive thing in our culture, so you get it. And the old history and generations of like being the football hero, that is a big deal. Being the band hero, that has nowhere near the same kind of positive energy around it for a lot of people because they're just not aware of it. So I don't think that what they're saying is necessarily dismissive. It's more a matter they don't understand it. But when you're a teenage kid or a kid in his early 20s, whatever, how old he is, it's like it feels insulting to you. So you take it that way. And maybe it's been developed for years, as you said, like him just kind of being second choice or seen as kind of over because his stuff isn't as relatable. So it doesn't get as celebrated. So he's built up a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And that's like throughout this whole movie. He has this desire to feel important, you know?
Honestly, if I had played football instead of being into martial arts, my dad would have understood it a lot better. He never understood anything about what I was doing. He had he's like had no clue about it.
Ditto.
And then one of those football guys.
How do you know when's in a music competition? Isn't it subjective?
And Andrew's like,
no.
Which from his perspective is true.
Right.
You know,
the most talented person wins. It's not subjective. Right.
Well, and that's what Fletcher is teaching him with Not My Tempo. It's like you're either right or you're wrong. That's what it is. And they say, I think, sort of dismissively.
Well, I'm so glad you figured it out. It's a nasty business, I am sure.
And then back to football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's interesting, you know. They feigned interest in Andy's drumming, his cute little drumming, and now we can get back to something that real Americans like, football. and they're talking and talking and talking, and we're watching Andrew, and we're seeing his disconnectedness, and we're seeing his upset, and then he chimes in with the line,
Yeah, it's Division 3.
and the look that goes around the room. This was not the right tone for this moment. And rather than backing off, he doubles down.
It's Carlton football. It's not even Division 2. It's Division 3.
I mean, you've been in the room where someone pulls a thing like this.
I've been the someone who's pulled a thing
That's
like
true,
this.
actually.
I've absolutely been in the room when it happens and been the person in the room that does it. Both. I've been both. Yeah.
And an adult, like, again, maybe this is an uncle or a friend of the family.
It is Uncle Frank. Yeah.
Uncle Frank says,
Got any friends, Andy?
"Got any friends, Andy?" is a cutting line at this moment.
Yeah. Debilitating.
Lennon and McCartney, they were school buddies, am I right?
Which is kind of trying to be in his world. It really isn't his world from Andrew's perspective, but they're trying a little bit.
But he takes it as an attack, you know?
Yeah.
Charlie Parker didn't know anybody until Joe Jones threw a symbol at his head.
First of all, I don't think that's true at all. He does. How does he know who Charlie Parker
Of course
knew or
it isn't
didn't know?
true.
I mean, like Charlie
Exactly,
Parker Charlie Parker, in fact, did have friends.
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
research. I'll tell you when we get a little further, but
So that's your idea of success, huh?
I think being the greatest musician of the 20th century is anybody's idea of success.
let's stop there just for a sec.
Okay.
Which is because I think my guess is on some level, you had your version of this fantasy, and I had my version of this fantasy when we were younger men. I wanted to be the greatest director. I didn't just want to be a director. I was aiming at Steven Spielberg and Orson Welles. That was my goal. That's what I thought I was supposed to be, you know?
Yeah, yes, of course. And I still have those designs, you know, and that's the horrible truth. But I have them in multiple areas. Like I want to be the greatest sports announcer, along with the greatest actor, along with the greatest theater director. Like, so there's so many things, and which is why my YouTube channel is the way it is. Like it's all my interests in the way that it is. But yes, of course, you have that belief that you believe that you could be one of the greats. I mean, the schmodown to a small period of my life was like this chance to finally be considered one of the greats of something that I'm involved in. And it was an amazing experience and I loved it, you know? And so it's that kind of, it kind of scratched that itch that I'd had for years and wasn't able to achieve a certain greatness in the other chosen fields that I was in, you know? So absolutely feel this way. I felt this way when I was younger.
And that belief is fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
In many, many ways. It drives you forward. It drives Andrew forward. And it is also both a delusion and really self-destructive at a certain point.
Yes.
Hugely self-destructive, which is what Dad says. He says, dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at age 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
Yeah. Dad makes a couple of missteps here, in my opinion, because I get it that you don't want your son to insult his cousins, and certainly seems to be at their house, at his sister's house or his brother's house. And so I understand that you want to stop your son from like, you know, kind of causing it, but to undercut him like that publicly, I think is a horrible thing to do. And then he reaffirms it when he doubles down a couple of lines later that it's just like, Jesus Christ, man, you know? Yeah, that's rough.
But I'll tell you, that's not what I think this is about at all.
Okay.
Like, I don't think this is about, yes, his son behaved impolitely in the last moment. I don't think this has anything to do with this. I think this is the great fear that Dad is up with every fucking night about his son and about his obsession and about Fletcher and the direction that he's heading. And he doesn't know how to get him off the fucking train. And he can't grab him and say, dude, you're heading towards disaster, because it'll only make Andrew double down. And so he throws this out as like I'm worried about you. That's what I think.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just telling you how I think Andrew takes it, which is him undercutting him. 100%. Right? Because he's doing it publicly and he's doing it in a time where people are taking sides in this debate. It looks like his father is taking a side against him.
Yes, that is exactly how Andrew takes it.
The Charlie Parker thing, it's like, whoa, I get it, but why would you bring that up here? Like, I'm trying to make a point about Charlie Parker, and now you're undercutting my point, the person who should be on my side. And that's how he sees it, right? Yeah.
And what Dad's going is the value system that is making you think that that's what you want is what drove Charlie Parker to dying at 34 of a heroin overdose.
Right.
You know, they're the same value system.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
Yes, I've had those thoughts as well.
I've never had the die young thing. I've known a lot of people who are like I want to burn fast and, you know, like, and I knew a lot of people who thought I'm never going to live past my 30s.
That's me. I didn't think 32, 33. I didn't think I was, and even now, I don't want to go past 70. I don't want to end up breaking down, wrinkled body, hobbling across the street. Fuck that nonsense. I don't want to end up like that. So, you know, I've made it really clear to Lady Outlaw, if that starts to happen to me, I'm taking myself out. It's my life. I can do with it as I wish. And if I start to fall apart and I don't want to live through all the pain and the sadness, all that, I'm rolling on out of here, you know? And so it's just like, I think I'm different than other people value life and want to live forever. Like the movement that's going on now, you know, this idea of how do we live to 200 years old? Like, knock yourselves out. I'm good. I've had a pretty full life. When it's time to go, it's time to go, whether it's by my choice or something else that happens, you know? So I get it. You know what I'm saying?
I totally want to live as long as I possibly can, as long as I'm healthy.
Oh yeah, right. As long as you're
Yeah.
healthy, yes.
If we can
exactly.
stay healthy and live to
Oh,
200,
sure.
I'm in.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Same. I just have not seen a record of that possibility. Go ahead. Yeah.
And they
Even
say-
Arnold is slowing down, brother. Even Arnold
yeah.
is slowing down. Yeah.
But your friends will remember you. That's the point.
None of us were friends with Charlie Parker. That's the point.
It's a great scene because it really is
Yeah.
putting forth totally, totally different values.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just to make it worse, they talk about the football players and all their friends.
Travis and Dustin, they have plenty of friends and plenty of purpose.
I'm sure they'll make great school board presidents someday.
Oh, that's what this is all about? You think you're better than us?
Catch on quick, are you gonna model you in?
I got a reply for you, Andrew. You think Carlton football's a joke? Come play with us.
4 words you will never hear from the NFL.
Well, that was a great comeback. That is a great comeback. Yeah.
It's right out of Terrence Fletcher's book, I think.
Yeah.
I think he has learned some moves.
Who wants dessert?
And from Lincoln Center?
His dad says that to him. Heard from Lincoln Center, and it's a way of completely emasculating his son. I hear you. I can hear you on the other points. I'll give you. I can understand the other point. What you're saying, coming from a place of fatherly care, but this is a violation, utter violation. And I will not agree that it isn't. Because I think him saying "heard from Lincoln Center," he's taking the side of the cousins against his own son. The cousin should have responded with that, not his father. It's such a betrayal to have your father do that to you publicly in a family setting. It's demoralizing as hell, And I just think it's a devastating. And I've had that. My father did that to me a couple of times when I was younger with my cousins, and it took me a very long time to forgive him. So that is very ingrained in me. I had enough time trying to prove being the fat kid that everyone made fun of in my cousins, and then if my own father was adding to the ridicule, who can I go for solace? You know what I'm saying? And so that was a big deal for me. So this moment is a massive moment for me in the movie.
I totally agree with you in terms of making it public. Like that's the big thing. I think, and again, my situation with my son is not the same as Andrew because my son is not obsessively practicing a discipline in order to achieve greatness.
Right.
My son talks about greatness without practicing a discipline. And so there are times where I do want to take the air out a little bit and go, hey, this requires a lot of work. This isn't because it's for a long time, he hasn't said it lately, but he wanted to be an influencer, a YouTuber, and he was like, he wants to be Mr. Beast. And I'm like, dude, Mr. Beast is the anomaly. Like that is so hard to get to that place.
And he works 24/7.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast. It's people aren't just he just coming up with an idea in 5 minutes and they're doing it. It's work all the time. Yeah.
Well, and there's an element of it too where I go like, look, I'm on YouTube. I'm not Mr. Beast. You see how hard I work. You see where I have gotten to. I haven't gotten that far. And so so it's more like when your kid is shooting for the stars, there is a dad thing that's like, I need to throw some realism in here,
Yeah.
Is that I think that Andrew is way closer to Lincoln Center than those two jocks are to playing for the NFL. I think Andrew is totally right about that. But that doesn't mean that Andrew's that close to Lincoln Center.
Right. But that's also a window into his father's not understanding the status that his son is trying to achieve or trying to go for and where he's at right now and how close he could actually possibly be. Because that's an element of this too, is that the father... we don't get a lot with Paul Reiser, right? But how much interest has the father really taken into this situation? How much interest does the father really know about this Fletcher guy? How much of this does he really understand, right? And that's a question to be asked as you go through the whole movie in his reaction to things. Because you're right, he leads with loving his son. That's the number one thing. And later when he has that conversation with that administrator, he's almost Godfather to Corleone talking to Kay. Don't you know that could never happen? You could never hurt my child and I wouldn't say anything. Don't you know that? And so it's like that element to it that you see he's very much about taking care of his child. Even if he has a passive aggressive moment here, he still loves his son madly.
I think he has, and this is again my headcanon, but I think he has done everything that a caring father for a son he doesn't quite understand can do.
Yeah, and his
He
son
is
still finds him lacking. Which
Yeah,
is,
well, he has shown
which is
up.
tough. Yeah.
Well, he has shown up at every concert.
Yeah.
He has
Oh,
been
yeah.
there when there was the fundraiser to pay for the instruments. He was part of it. I think he did all the stuff. And I do not think he gets his son or understands jazz at all.
That's one of the greatest things about life you discover as you get older. Your parents, when you get older, you realize how fucking smart your parents actually were and how stupid you were at growing up as a kid. Because you always think, well, I think a lot of people think that they're smarter than their parents. You're not with it. You don't get it. This is what's going on. This is the way things are done. And then as you get older, you realize, Jesus Christ, everything they were trying to tell me, they were 100% accurate about. And so, but you have to live life in order to come around to that. Most people do. There are some people who do get it, but like most people have to live life to kind of swing back around and get it,
Well, and you and I both have stories where our dads cared about us, they didn't understand us. And then, and
100%.
moments where you told the story, and I don't remember what play it was. I feel like it was a Shakespeare play.
Yeah,
where
Hamlet.
He came to see. It was Hamlet, and he came to see you, and suddenly saw you in a new way. For me, it was when I did Brothers and Dream Graveyard, the 2 plays I did at Cal. My dad came to see those and saw, standing room only, and went, "Oh, this is." Up until that point, I think he was just like, my son is doing this weird theater thing. I guess I'll be supportive,
And we do get that moment with him at the end, where peering through the doorway, where he sees the greatness of his son and what is possible, and he realizes how out of step he's been. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that moment because I've had many different thoughts about what it means, and one of them is exactly what you just said.
I want to say one thing before we leave the scene, Steve, as we sometimes we don't always talk about the direction because we're caught up in the dialogue and the back and forth, but like, I love the way this is blocked and framed. He is by himself on the end of the table and separated by everybody. Like everybody else is almost lined up against him.
Yeah.
And so it's great framing by Chazelle and how he reinforces this debate that's going on and how lonely Andrew feels by himself in his pursuit of this thing. So it's just smart thing that subconsciously works on us as a viewer. It's great direction,
You know what one of the differences is that you just made me see is the first half of the scene where Andrew feels so out of it and dismissed and uncared for. Nobody is intentionally doing anything to him at all.
Right.
The point is they're not thinking about him. When Andrew says it's Division 3, he is intentionally cutting them down. It's and that's why he gets ostracized. Right. You don't get ostracized for being insensitive in the way you get ostracized for doing what he did.
Right, exactly.
So we're back at the rehearsal space. He's behind the drums, and Fletcher's kind of ending their practice and giving them some instructions, and then says,
As fate would have it, I recently stumbled across another kid in a practice room working on his double time swing. So I'm going to give him a shot.
And there is Connolly.
Am I late?
Perfect timing.
Again, this son of a bitch, man, just fucking with his mental health like crazy.
Yeah.
He just had his father kind of betray him at the dinner table, and now here's Fletcher, his other father figure, in essence betraying him right when he's starting to feel like he's accepted by this guy. Here he's bringing in it's almost like a new girlfriend being brought in, you know what I'm saying? And you're the first, or new boyfriend, I guess you could say. And so it's just, and Miles here, the silent acting of the betrayal that's happening here is amazing, just amazing.
And is there any truth to he heard Connolly's good double time swing and had this thought, or is this a plan he runs all the time over and over again with different students?
I don't know if he does it with different students. I think with certain students, and I think Neiman is one of those. I think it's a handful of students he's ever done this and seen potential in Fletcher. And I think what he says later on in the movie is the truth, that he brought in Connolly as a way of motivating him and fucking with him, because that's all he knows how to do, is to constantly throw challenges at someone to see if they're really, it's like a Matrix and Neo, right? Like he's almost like a Morpheus, an evil Morpheus trying to find his Neo, so to speak. So, yeah.
Honestly, that's a great point, because the science fiction story is about the one. It's Neo, it's Luke Skywalker, it's Harry Potter. There is a special person only one person in the world can do this. And that is the illusion. That is the Charlie Parker story.
Yeah.
There is one person who could be the magic special person. That's not true in life. I mean, there are special people who come and do special things, but most of us are just fucking people,
Yeah.
He says, now, Conley, I've made Neiman a temporary core, but with this competition coming up, I just want to make very sure.
Now, Connolly, I've made Neiman a temporary core. But with this competition coming up, I just want to make very sure this chart is in the best shape it can be.
Now, he made Neiman core. He never said
Yeah.
the temporary thing until just now.
Right.
He totally drops that in on purpose. And we hear that he gave Connolly the chart
Ahead of time.
And he wants to give both of them a crack.
All I want to do now is just give you both a crack at it, all right? So, Neiman, go ahead, jump on the kit. We'll take it from the top.
And we start, and he ends it immediately.
Not quite my tempo. Connolly?
Okay, yeah, I
Connolly,
can take it right
go
back
ahead.
from the top. I can do it.
Nope, we'll go with Connolly now.
Which means he doesn't give him a chance to correct.
Nope.
He's making
Not at
him
all.
get up, leave the drum kit. Connolly gets up and sits down. This is totally disruptive to an artist. Like, artists need a moment to sit in the space, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And he is just disrupting that every time between these things.
Yep, 100%.
And Connolly says, hey, do you mind? And takes his sticks.
Oh, that's, again, emasculating. This is so emasculating. He takes his own sticks from him. Yeah.
And they start playing, and Fletcher smiles and says,
Perfect, Connolly. See, this to me is the beauty of studio band. You walk in here an alternate, who knows when you could be the new core.
is Connolly playing any better than Neiman was playing?
I mean, I'm not a drummer. I wouldn't know, but I'm going to assume yes, because he has had the chart longer. So he's probably been practicing for hours before he walked through that door. Whereas Andrew is having to figure it out on the fly, troubleshoot in essence, the situation. So yeah, I mean, Fletcher's put him in an untenable position. I mean, it's no surprise. He set him up to fail, and it's no surprise that he does.
Here's what's great. My interpretation is different, and both of our interpretations end up being exactly the same, which is my interpretation is there is really no difference between the way they're playing. Fletcher is just fucking with Andrew. But both of them he's fucking with Andrew. The Connolly's playing isn't the point of any of this. It's to mess with Andrew Neiman. And Andrew speaks out, which we've never seen in the rehearsal hall. He goes,
"Oh my God, are you serious?
Thanks.
That shit?"
And the reactions around the room are like, he's talking back to Fletcher.
Right.
And then right in the middle of this, Fletcher gets a call and leaves the room. And Connolly tries to settle Andrew down. He says, hey, don't worry about Fletcher. He's more bark than bite. Which is, Connolly does not know.
Yeah, fuck you, rookie. What do you know about this situation, you know? And so, I mean, I love Fletcher's look to him before he takes that call, like just the utter disgust, like, how dare you, you know? It's great acting.
But what's funny is really, it's Neiman standing up to Fletcher that really is what makes him most distinct from everybody else.
Fletcher is creating another version of himself. I think him speaking out at the dinner table is a Fletcher influence, as you were mentioning earlier, the comments he makes, but like the fact that he's willing to do this so vociferously, it's maybe the first time that he's really kind of spoken out. So you see that Fletcher, in a way, is invading or influencing Andrew, who is still at a what do you call that? Impressionable age. And so, that's the situation you see going on.
So Andrew ignores Connolly. He heads straight to Fletcher's office. Goes inside. Fletcher looks upset. Did he just get the phone call about Sean Casey, the kid that died?
Yep.
I think so too.
I think he got the phone call. Yes, 100%.
Hey, look, I can play these charts. I'm not. Why do you do that?
Not the time, I swear to God.
I can play it. Okay.
I said not now! If you want the fucking part, earn it.
And then he stands there for a moment and then walks out.
You know this. They're parent-child. It's pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits, right? What can I get away with? How loud can I yell at him? And Fletcher comes over top of him, which stops Andrew, and he walks out.
And one thing I don't agree with any of Fletcher's tactics, but I agree with if you want the part, earn it.
Oh, of course.
That is what it is. Sure. You know, go do the work.
That's fine, but stop changing the parameters in which I have to earn it. That's the problem that Andrew has.
Well, this is, you remember.
I'll happily earn it in a fair competition, Fletcher.
Your stories about boot camp, I think, made a lot of sense because the whole point of all that is nothing is fair. They're never going to be fair with you. Don't expect it to be fair. You keep earning it regardless if I keep changing the rules. And now we cut to, it was funny. We talked about the fact that the moment that he asked Nicole out came directly out of him getting asked to join Fletcher's band.
Yeah.
This moment into the next scene, it's the same thing.
Yep.
The last thing Fletcher said is, you want the part, you got to earn it.
Yeah.
And now he's with Nicole and he says,
I'm just gonna lay it out there. This is why I don't think that we should be together.
and you could tell from her reaction, this is the last thing she expected him to say.
Yeah. Because the last thing we saw of Nicole was like, hey, when you get home, I'll come over. Like, just let me know.
Yeah.
She's so into the situation.
And then he says something which my recommendation is you should never say in a relationship of any kind, even if your plan is to break up.
And I've thought about it a lot, and this is what's gonna happen.
Never say this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is just like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want. This is how I feel. Fine. Don't say this is what's going to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna keep pursuing what I'm pursuing. And because I'm doing that, it's gonna take up more and more of my time, and I'm not gonna be able to spend as much time with you. And even when I do spend time with you, I'm gonna be thinking about drumming. And you're gonna tell me to ease up on the drumming, spend more time with you because you're not feeling important. And I'm not gonna be able to do that.
She's taking this in.
And because of that, you're gonna start to resent me. And you're gonna tell me to ease up on the drumming, spend more time with you because you're not feeling important. And I'm not gonna be able to do that. And really, I'm just gonna start to resent you for even asking me to stop drumming. And we're just gonna start to hate each other. And so for those reasons, I'd rather just, break it off clean.
And the whole time the camera's just pushing in on her, and her reaction is great.
Melissa's so good in this nonverbal acting scene.
Yeah.
God, she's so good.
Because I wanna be great.
And you're not.
I wanna be one of the greats.
And I would stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so terrible what he's doing right now.
But he's in this pursuit of this thing. This scene is so interesting to me because, yes, he's totally fumbling the ball with this incredible woman. But second, I kind of admire this a little bit. Like, he's so determined that nothing else is going to get in his way to get the thing that he wants. Whether he's mistaken to have this conversation or not, it's from the place of like, I can have no distractions. I must achieve this thing, So it's a drive.
It is 100% pure drive. That fuel in the tank that we were talking about before, that is burning like crazy, and it is 100% pure.
Yeah.
It's so cruel. And
Yes,
it's so dumb in the way he's handling this. Well, and this is, that question, do you have any friends? No,
Yeah.
I don't really see the point.
Yeah.
Well, that it is this thing about life that he has missed because he's so 100% focused on this thing.
He hasn't been humbled yet.
And I love the intensity that she comes back at him with. Like, I think she was knocked off her feet. She didn't have her balance. And then she kind of took in what she's saying. And then you see some steel show up in her.
You know I would stop you from doing that. You know that for a fact.
Yes.
And I'd barely see you anyway.
Yeah.
And then she puts it all together. Like she essentially does what you should do in these conversations, which is restate the other person's position perfectly.
And when I did see you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants, and you have a path, and you're going to be great, and I'm going to be forgotten, and therefore you won't be able to give me the time of day because you have bigger things to pursue.
What Andrew fails to hear in her monologue is all the pain and the humanity and how incredibly insulting he just was with her. He doesn't hear any of that. And in fact, he confirms the insulting statements he just made by saying,
That's exactly my point.
and she says, and I love that Chazelle this is where to end this fucking scene, is that we go right to the end. She looks at him, she sees exactly who he really is at this moment and says,
What the fuck is wrong with you? You're right, we should not be dating.
and she leaves.
Yeah.
As she should.
Yes, 100%. I mean, look, remember, Andrew's the one who initiated this. And so it's like there's a responsibility here. And what I think you were alluding to before is so true. Like, I don't know if he has the reason it's good to have friends is you learn social cues, you learn social interactions, you learn how to say, hopefully, if you have good friends who are willing to have conversations with you, like you learn how to interact. And I think with him, there's a much more sweeter, softer way of handling this. Because I think his intention here is I'm going to save us both a lot of heartache here down the road. So let's just stop now because I can see what's coming.
Yes,
right?
that's his intention.
That's his
Absolutely.
intention. But the execution is where I think him not having a lot of friends, him not having a lot of interactions with people are where it becomes a problem, you know, and how he delivers it to her. Because it's so matter of fact. And her pushing back is so great because she's like, how the fuck do you know what I'm going to do? Who are you to tell me? And this is so ironic because isn't this what Andrew's trying to do, is to stand on his own, to be taken for who he is? And here he is removing the individuality of somebody by assuming what they're going to do in their relationship, you know?
Well, and assuming that the only way to live is the Charlie Parker way, is the ultimate goal to be the greatest. That is anyone who doesn't have a goal like that, I can't understand. And the thing too about friends and people in your life is really good friends or good relationships can act as a mirror to you. Is that they can reveal things to you about yourself that you couldn't see on your own. And because Andrew doesn't have any relationships, the only mirror he has is Fletcher. You know, that's who's telling him what the world is and who he is.
Or these stories he's read about these other jazz musicians. I'm sure he's read biographies and so in his mind, because I think this is the first time he's ever dated anybody, to be honest with you. And I think he's just assuming these things because that's what he's read in books, in relationships that the famous jazz musicians have had in the past, you know, and which is littered with disappointed wives and girlfriends. You know,
I remember when Karen and I first moved in together in the early 90s, and one of the great things about it was just realize, because I had never lived with a woman before in an intimate way, and I had roommates. But you don't see everything that roommates do in the way you see what your girlfriend does. And it was like, oh, there were a million little things with the shower and the sink and all that she did a different way. And it was so great to go like, oh, I thought the way I did stuff was the way everybody does stuff. And it's not. Everybody does things a little bit differently. Everyone's a little different. And you get a glimpse into another world and another reality and another way of living. That's part of what happens in relationships.
Yeah.
And Andrew hasn't seen any of that stuff. We cut to him back to practicing, but this is angry practicing. It's intense. It's violent. He's swearing. At one point, he just gets so angry that he just punches through the drum. What is Andrew angry at in this scene?
Well, I think the betrayal of Fletcher is probably one of the elements. I also think his feeling of this frustration that he knows he's destined for more, yet he can't quite get there. He can't quite see it. And now Fletcher has, in essence, kind of put up another obstacle, another roadblock for him. His own father doesn't understand him. Fletcher's barring him doing this. Now he's thrown away this relationship. There's a lot of emotion running through this kid in this moment.
I think all that's true. And I think the one thing that maybe it's under the surface, but I think somewhere he does know that he lost something. That he, I think, the 100%. Relation is that I think he did have fun with her. I think he did enjoy her. I think there was to some degree a connection. And I think part of the anger in this scene is that he hurt her and that's gone.
I think there's a lot of self-hatred in Andrew, which is why you enter into toxic relationships. I know when I was in really deep places of self-hatred in my 20s and 30s, I had some pretty great girls that I was able to date, and I would break up with them all the time and then want them back a week or two later. It's a horrible pattern, but it's part of an element of this low self-esteem is this idea, well, let's break up because you shouldn't be with someone like me. And then a week or two later, you're like, oh God, I want them back. And you're mad at yourself. And so, but this is all part of being young. You know, we can't judge Andrew as an adult. Like Andrew's got a lot of young feelings running through him in these moments, and they're all over the place, you know, and he's being manipulated by a guy like Fletcher who should know better, you know?
Well, and I also think that when your sights are set on being the absolute best of the best of all time, all things must disappoint.
Yeah.
There is even if you became the best, even if you become the biggest musician, you're only going to be the biggest musician for a fleeting moment. Like
Right.
people don't laugh. It's like you'll always be, we just talked about the Hulk Hogan documentary. He was the greatest and the best for a certain amount of time. And then he's chasing for his whole life,
Yep.
because it's an impossible standard to meet.
Look at Wells, right? That's our standard bearer for that.
We're back at practice, and Fletcher enters, and he says,
Guys, just put your instruments down for a minute.
and they do, and none of them know what's coming. This is a weird moment. He puts in a CD, we listen to the music, and he says,
6 years ago, came across a kid in a practice room working on his scales. He was early second year, and he'd started at Schaefer with a lot of hope. But the truth was, he barely squeaked in to begin with, and he was really struggling.
and Andrew is hanging on every single word of this.
And the faculty were all telling him, maybe this isn't for you. But they didn't see what I saw.
We have a question from Michael McKenzie, one of our patrons.
Hey, Mike.
And he's asking about this moment because this is the story about Sean Casey, who's the kid who died. And we're going to hear that in just a moment. He has two questions. One of his questions is, he's talking about the school saying he did not have enough promise. Was it the school saying that, or was it actually Fletcher saying that he didn't have enough promise? Is the story that he's telling about the school not believing in Casey, but Fletcher believing in him, the truth?
No. Fletcher is an unreliable narrator, as we will find out when he tells them it was a car accident, when in fact the kid hung himself.
I saw a drive in him, and I put him in studio band. And when he graduated, Marsalis made him third trumpet at Lincoln Center. A year later, he was first. And that's who you're listening to now.
And then he says, and J.K. Simmons Fletcher gets genuinely emotional at this moment.
I found out this morning that Sean died yesterday in a car accident.
So this is Michael McKenzie's other question, which you kind of alluded to, which is, why did he tell the band that he died from a car accident and not by suicide?
Well, because that would look badly on him. For Fletcher. Fletcher is always about Fletcher and no one else. I think he's a massively insane narcissist who has horrible mental health issues and behavioral issues to be untangled by a very, very skilled team of professionals to get him to be something that resembles a human being, a normal human being. And so I think in my head canon, first of all, I think the teachers were right about this kid, that he wasn't that talented, and Fletcher, for whatever reason, made him his cause celeb. And he's like, I'm going to show these faculty members that they're wrong about him, and I'm going to push him and drive him and blah, blah. And the kid saw somebody who believed in him like this and accepted this kind of behavior because he saw the results. Oh my God, I got to third. Oh my God, I got to this. But then eventually he broke because of the damage that Fletcher did to him. And he could not find satisfaction even in achieving first chair. As you mentioned earlier, Steve, it's fleeting, the success. If you're not mentally healthy and ready to prepare for the fact that even achieving the success doesn't bring you peace, then what else is there left? And a lot of people break when they achieve success and don't find happiness and go, well, what the fuck was the point of everything? And so I think that's what ended up causing this kid to hang himself, because he realized that even though I was pushed to achieve this stuff, the achieving of it didn't bring me any happiness and a joy. So what was the point of all of this? I hate myself. And he took his own life. That's how I see it, So I don't know how anybody else sees it, but that's how I see it.
I've thought about this a bunch, and my basic conclusion is I have no idea. I really don't. So first of all, it is possible, I don't think it's likely, but it's possible that Fletcher was told that he was in a car accident. Frequently, people cover up suicides. They don't always publicize them.
Sure.
And so sometimes there's one story that goes, so that's possible, but I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything Fletcher says here, honestly, because Fletcher is constructing a hero's journey for him as the great teacher molding the student. Like that's his story and he's sticking to it. And so I don't know what the school thought of him. It could have been that teacher that Fletcher was so rude from went to Fletcher and said, hey, I think this Sean Casey kid is really good. You might want to think about him for studio band. And Fletcher rejected him, but then later brought him into studio band and completely forgotten that he had been led to him. I mean, this kind of guy, having known people like this, these are delusional people. Like they are constructing a reality everywhere they go. So I honestly don't know what happened with this kid, except that I'm absolutely certain that Fletcher tortured him in the way that he's torturing Neiman and everyone else.
100%.
Yeah. Connolly sits down at the drums. He counts them in.
1 and 2
and immediately stops them.
It's not quite right, Connolly.
And Neiman is instantly smiling.
Maybe now's the time for Neiman to earn the part.
Starts him.
1 and 2 and.
Stops him.
Nope, I guess not. Tanner?
So now we're switching in all three drummers. And it is just brutal.
Motherfucker!
And now everyone stands shocked. Because Fletcher has all sorts of outbursts, but that outburst seemed unusual. That level of anger and intensity at that moment, I think.
Connolly, get your ass back on the kit. We will stay here for as long as it takes until one of you faggots can play in time.
And now Connolly, who earlier said that Fletcher's bark was worse than his bite, it looks like he's learned that's not true.
1 and 2 and. Looks like that might be all night. Neiman?
What he does to the three of them throughout this whole sequence is absolutely him working out his anger about Sean Casey, in my opinion. This is what I see him. He's torturing them as an anger mechanism, misplaced anger, because he should be mad at himself. And maybe he is mad at himself, but he's taking it out on these guys because he's such a supremely fucked up human being. And that's what I see here. And he just goes after these guys and berates them. And he indulges in some of the most horrible things to say to a young man who is put under your guidance. And it's just brutal what he's doing to all three of them and breaking them down. And we find out later, Connolly was just there as a vehicle and Tanner went pre-med. So he broke 2 out of the 3 of the people in this scenario, they eventually broke afterwards. But I think this is absolutely him working out his guilt, his misplaced guilt, or his anger about the situation with Sean Casey. Because in the end, the teachers might have been right and he was wrong about this kid, in terms of his ability to handle the success and handle the life of being a musician.
I can't even fathom, if he knows that he killed himself, I can't even fathom the thoughts, what Fletcher is doing with that. I certainly don't think he's feeling conscious guilt for that he might have contributed to Casey's suicide.
Oh, sure. Not conscious guilt. No.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think that he might have been planning on running his drummers through some shit today.
Sure.
But the shit he is running them through is completely different because of what's just happened.
Sorry, guys. Hate to put you through this. If you need to fucking take a dump or get a coffee, whatever, now might be a good time because we're going to stay here until I find a drummer who can fucking play in time.
And then he apologizes to the musicians.
Yeah.
I think that because he calls them musicians and apologizes for the terrible drumming that they have to endure and the time that they have to waste because these guys can't fucking drum. It is later. The musicians are outside. We can hear the drumming comes through the walls.
Yeah.
We come back into a close-up of Neiman struggling, trying to keep up.
Is that really the fastest you can play, you worthless Jaime fuck? No wonder Mommy ran out on you. Get off the fucking kid.
Anti-Semitic slur, talking about his mother leaving him, and now he invites Tanner back up. And he takes out Tanner with his own set of insults.
Mr. Gay Pride of the Upper West Side himself. Unfortunately, this is not a Bette Midler concert. We will not be serving cosmopolitans in Baked Alaska, so just play faster than you give fucking hand jobs, will you please?
So now he got the homophobic insults as well.
Yeah.
Starts him, immediately stops him, and then we get the Irish insults.
Close. Let's go with the Irish Mick fucking patty cracker now. You actually do look quite a bit like a leprechaun. I think I'm going to start calling you Flannery.
And we assume these insults have been going on for hours.
Yeah.
And these guys are drenched in sweat. They're working really hard. And the reason they're drenched in sweat is because they really did this to them. I mean, they just kept, like, Chazelle kept them drumming on and on and on, switching them on and off. So they were exhausted. They were completely wrecked in doing this. By the way, in terms of sound recording, for rehearsal sequences like this is pretty much all those actors drumming and the live sound of them drumming.
Oh, wow.
When they're doing the concert pieces, we'll have a whole different kind of system. But they're really recording most of this live.
Yeah, and listen, you can look at this in two ways. One, you could say, okay, this is like a drill sergeant moment we've seen in movies before where they're trying to get you to see, like Louis Gossett Jr. in Officer and a Gentleman, like pushing Richard Gere to the ultimate to prove if he really wants to be here, if he really wants to become a soldier. Does you understand what it takes, the sacrifice, or if this is just a lark for him, right?
I got nowhere left to go.
Exactly. The great Richard Gere moment.
Yeah.
But like that is something that is constructive to achieve a goal, right? This is not that. This is completely misguided effort in the same kind of vein to destroy these men, not to toughen them up. There is a difference. And of course, later, Andrew's going to ask him that, is there a line? And so you see that happening here, that Fletcher clearly has no line because he is in love with his own idea that what he's doing is right, to try to find the right Charlie, or the next Charlie Parker, which is just utterly insane.
Bullshit! Fuck you! Neiman, maybe it's time to finally bring this home. What do you say?
And now Fletcher's doing everything he can to distract him. He brings out the cowbell. He's throwing stuff at him. He's kicking stuff. He's yelling stuff. Faster! The camera is circling around. We see the blood on the drums. And really, again, the actors are totally exhausted at this point, and he's going, keep playing! Keep playing! Keep playing! Finally, he stops it. Neiman is gasping, staring at him.
Neiman, you earned the part. Alternates, you want to clean the blood off my drum set?
And then, which is, horrible in its own way, opens up the doors and says,
okay, we can start now.
And it is now 2 minutes to, I'm assuming, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They've been going for like 5 hours, and now they're going to start the rehearsal.
Yeah. Insane.
Which, well, and it's funny, like you made the Officer and a Gentleman reference. I've been in a karate or kung fu workshop or like this, where it was just get fucking destroyed for several hours, and then the Sifu or the sensei said, okay, now let's start class. Yeah. And there is something great about that in terms of testing your mettle. And you find that and I'm sure you found this many times in basic, where it's like, oh, there's this place after exhaustion, where there's something else in the tank, that I didn't know about. I had to get there to discover that thing.
We talked about that, and you told the story, right, with Wrath of Khan, that Nicholas Meyer pushed Shatner until he was utterly exhausted by doing multiple takes, and then got that take because he stripped all the actory stuff away from him. And I mean that it can work, but you've got to have someone who's actually doing it for the right reasons, and Fletcher isn't.
Well, it's what you said in the first part. It's like, if we're agreed that I'm cool with going there and you're going, then that's what we're going to do.
Let's go.
Okay. But if it's abuse, it's abuse, Right. The musicians are heading out exhausted. We hear about the concert in Dunellen the next day. Neiman walks out just looking wrecked and totally stunned. And we can hear the sound of drumming building sort of in the background, because this movie doesn't end. And it's funny, we were talking before about what kind of, great director does Damien Chazelle have potential to become? And you mentioned Denis Villeneuve. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you who I thought of. And it's really, as we're heading into this next sequence of the bus and the car crash and the performances that I actually think it's PTA is who he makes me think of the most.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can
building,
see that.
Because PTA has this way of just creating tension and keeping the tension up and building it for really long times. And that's what I feel pretty much for the rest of this movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally.
So it's the day of the competition. Andrew's on the bus. He's got his headphones on. He's practicing. And then something happens with the bus. They hear something and we got a flat tire. So, and he's asking about like cabs and who's picking them up. No cabs are coming. So he runs straight up to an office for a car rental. It's locked. He bangs to get in. And this is what I was talking about when I was saying that that P.T. Anderson feel of it's got this sequence has the feeling of stress, of just continued extended stress that we get in P.T. Anderson.
Yeah, like Boogie Nights stuff. Yeah, totally.
Everything is super fast. It's super jarring. He's in there and just in the quickest of shots. And I think in a shot very similar to the one when he lost Tanner's notebook with the score is he puts his little case down on a chair and we go, oh no.
Right.
But it happens real fast. And now he's in a car on his phone, not paying much attention to driving, talking to them at the concert. And he says,
yeah, hello?
Man, where the fuck are you, man? Call time was 5.
I know, I'm almost there. I'm right there.
We're on stage at 20.
I know we're on stage at 20.
And Fletcher's got Connolly warming up.
God fucking damn. Okay, you just tell that little fucking redhead I'm gonna be there, okay? Fuck.
He is so aggressively angry on this phone with this guy he calls into, you know?
Yeah. I've been there. When things fall apart and you've got the stress and you're putting the stress on you and you just kind of got to get there and you've got all kinds of things in the way. It is one of the most horrible experiences because it feels like the whole world is against you. And I'm sure everyone listening has had that day where it's like days where it feels like, oh my God, why is everything not working? You know, and you get there.
There was a day where I was back when I was in college, I was professionally stage managing. So I was stage managing at like equity waiver houses and stuff like that. Yeah. And I had the keys to the theater and I had 2 flat tires in 2 days. So I had changed my flat and then my spare was flat, you know, and I'm sitting there going like, I have to open the theater and try, and I had to get another. I mean, it was crazy day. So yes, I definitely felt this.
This scene reminds me of Anchorman. He's got to put Corningstone on the air. Totally. He's just running. You know, it's
the vibe so slightly different.
Stressed either way, but yes.
And he makes there, apologizes for being late, and Fletcher says,
glad you could fit us into your busy schedule, darling.
I know. Look, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Connolly's playing the part.
In the past, I think when Terrence Fletcher said anything, every member of his band basically said, yes, sir. No matter how much they disliked it, no matter how angry they are. And that is not what Andrew Neiman does.
Yeah, like fucking hell, he's playing my part.
What the fuck did you just say to me?
And I love the whole band looks up at this, you know?
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways, this is Fletcher's fault in a way, because I think he's seen that Neiman is a mini him. And he's pushed him in these directions. He knows what Neiman is capable of. He knows how hard as Neiman has been on himself. They just had, as we talked about a few minutes ago, the 3 people competition to who's going to get this part. So he knows how driven Neiman is to keep this part. And so him just kind of casually going, this guy's got it now. The anger that bulbs is all about Fletcher has been essentially sharing his power with Neiman, and Neiman has been taking it in, and in certain moments has been letting it out. And this is one of those moments. Not even the great Fletcher is going to stop him from getting up on that stage to play for Fletcher. So it's just an incredible moment of power here. And of course the band looks up because it's just like the one person standing up. Was it in Bridge of River Kwai, right? The one person standing up to not do what he tells them to do. And so it's like it's a great moment, you know?
I mean, Fletcher has spent the whole movie teaching Andrew that this is a no-holds-barred cage match for being the core drummer, where the winner will survive and nothing is off the table. And he has learned that lesson. That is what he is fighting.
It's my part.
It's my part, and I decide who to lend it to. Usually it's somebody that has fucking sticks.
Fletcher has realized that he doesn't have his sticks.
Look, I can use Ryan's sticks.
Neiman, you lost the fucking part.
No, I didn't. Look, you can't fucking do this to me.
Can't?
Yeah.
When did you become a fucking expert on what I can or cannot do, you fucking weepy willow shit sack?
I earned that part.
You never earned anything. God, you are a self-righteous prick.
I love this. I love this battle of wills. And we, as the audience, are on Neiman's side because we're like, okay, he's pushing back against this bully, this authoritarian figure, right? But if we look at it logically, after you've seen the movie the first time, maybe some of you are a little more astute while you're watching it the first time, but this is totally unhealthy. All of this
crazy.
is completely unhealthy in terms of hierarchy and respect and all of these things. And the fact that he's doing it in a public way, which is exactly what he was upset about his father doing to him at the dinner table, he is now doing to Fletcher in a public way. In front of Fletcher's band, he is doing this. And so there is this battle of wills and of power. And I have to believe that Fletcher, to a degree, kind of is excited by this. He may not like it. He may be offended by it, but I think there's a little piece of him that likes the battle. And so he's excited by this a little bit, you know?
He is absolutely excited about it because if he wasn't, there is no way he lets Neiman on the stage.
I agree. 100%.
He shuts him down. No, he is going to lose this argument, or not lose it. He's going to give in and say, okay. But right now,
The only reason you're a fucking core is because you misplaced a folder. The only reason you're in studio band to begin with is because I told you exactly what I'd be asking for in Nassau. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I'm in studio band because I'm the
Hey,
best
why don't
player.
you just back
Hey,
off,
yo,
bro?
fuck off, Johnny Utah. Turn my pages, bitch.
I mean, listen, it ain't pretty sometimes going for what you want, and you aren't going to break a few eggs to make an omelet. But goddamn, Neiman,
turn my pages, bitch.
That's an amazing takedown. That's an amazing takedown. Yeah.
Hey, I can cut you any fucking time I want.
You would have cut me by now.
Which is basically put your cards on the table. He's looking eye to eye gunslinger style.
Try me, you fucking weasel.
But then he gives in.
At 5:30, that's in exactly 11 minutes. My band is on stage. If your ass is not on that stool with your own fucking sticks in hand, or if you make one fucking mistake, I will drum your ass back to Nassau where you can turn pages until you graduate or fucking drop out. By the time you're done at Schaefer, you're gonna make Daddy look like a fucking success story. Got it?
So we're like, oh my God, it's going down. This is the moment that we're going to determine. It's like it's Rocky. We're heading into the big fight. Like, this is it. This is the moment.
Right, but we know how long it took him to get there. So when he says he's got to be on stage in 12 minutes, in our heads, we're like, well, he's not going to make it all the way back there, grab the sticks, get back in the car, and get back to the studio in time. There's no way, So the stress is on us as the audience. Like, how the hell is he going to pull this off?
And that's what he does. He runs out to the car, quick cuts of him driving, stopping. We see him back at the rental place where he got the sticks. Then he's on the phone again, talking and driving like a crazy person. So it's super stressful.
Let me ask you, who is he talking to? Is it Connolly?
No.
Or is it one of the black guys in the band that he was kind of talking to earlier in the film? I don't know who he's talking. Is it Tanner? Is he talking to Tanner?
That's a great question because I don't think there is any answer that makes a damn bit of sense. Because he's alienated. He can't be talking to Connolly. We heard him talk smack about Connolly in the other one. I don't think he's talking to Tanner. And he's made no friend. He has no friends on the band. Yeah. Like I literally, I'm not going to call it a flaw in the movie, but I don't think there is any person that he could actually be having this conversation with.
Yeah, because we don't cut to anybody else. And we're left to assume whose voice we hear on the other end of the line. I feel like it's Tanner. That would make that's the closest logical sense to me that it's Tanner. Because he just told Connolly, turn his pages, bitch. So I don't think Connolly would be stressed out about him showing up there. And it might be that Tanner is because Tanner doesn't want to do it, And so I just wonder if maybe that's the situation.
I mean, frankly, they say that they're just going on stage. If you're walking onto the stage for Terrence Fletcher and you get a phone call, you're not answering it. You know what I mean? Like nobody in that band in the 3 minutes before they're supposed to be on stage is going to take this call.
Yeah, so I wonder who it is.
But I don't think. But again, I don't see it as a. It doesn't make sense. But I don't see it as a flaw because I don't think you bump. You're so in this.
Hey, tell Fletcher I'm coming.
What the fuck is taking you so long, man? We're moving on stage right now.
I know. I got locked in my car. It's fine. I got locked in my car. I'm coming.
You cannot get locked in your own car. And he's got like the map in front of him. He's got the map on his phone. And the map gives an audible direction. And the guy on the other line goes, "Are you driving, man?"
Okay, look, why don't you just tell Fletcher that I'm coming, you motherfucker?
So if this was his one friend on the band that he could call, he's not his friend anymore.
That's amazing. You motherfucker.
This is particularly for a low budget independent film. They handle this next moment absolutely perfectly, which is that we're going to have this car crash. And I think the car crash is totally stunning, which is he's driving, he's talking on the phone, and suddenly there's a Mack truck, and suddenly he's hit. And it's super chaotic, and it's super shocking, and it feels to me, and I have slowed this down and even gone a bit frame by frame, it feels 100% real to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Would you like to know how they did it?
Please.
So, and I, like I said, I went frame by frame, and this is really hard to see. But he's talking on the phone, and it is Miles Teller driving. He's in a camera car, which means he's not really driving. He's in a car that's on a trailer that's being towed. And he's holding the phone. And when he puts the phone down, the camera tilts down with the phone. And when it does that, there is a hidden cut. And it's real hard to spot.
Wow.
And then the phone comes up because he lifts it back up, except now he's no longer in the camera car. He's in a camera set, and there is a rear projection behind him. And so the Mack truck is in a rear projection. And so that moment of, so he's no longer driving. And so that moment where the Mack hits, that's actually a projection on film. And so in the moment of the crash, there is another cut, which is almost impossible to see, where they cut to a stuntman, Miles, doubling Miles Teller. And what I think it is, and I'm not 100% sure because I didn't get a clear description, but what I think it is they essentially took a car, flipped the car upside down, strapped the stuntman upside down into the car, and then essentially dropped the car enough to have the broken glass and create the sense of a car getting flipped and him landing. But if you watch it, and watch it slow.
My God. Yeah.
It's real. I mean, and to pull off those three cuts and have them fit in just seamlessly is incredible filmmaking at this level. So this crash has happened. It's completely shocking. He struggles out of the car, and we have the, and he's bleeding, he's breathing heavy. And as he's struggling out of the car, what is the first thing he sees and grabs?
His sticks. Yeah, his sticks.
The sticks. Because he is still on the same race.
He's determined.
Nothing has fucking changed his brain at all. And when he gets out and the bystanders and people are talking, they're telling him to sit down, they're concerned about him, and he just gets up and starts running for the concert.
Yeah. I mean, he mumbles something about he's 2 blocks away. And I think it's the truck driver who's being like, "Dude, are you okay? You can't leave. You got to stick around because it's an accident. It's the scene of an accident,
a serious accident.
And he's probably like, my job might be on the line here. Did I do something wrong? Did you do something wrong? Like, I'm sure he's in a state of shock himself about hitting someone and almost killing someone and seeing him all bloodied and climbing out of the car, grabbing his sticks and then running. Like, he's so in shock. Neiman is so in shock that he's just like, this is what I need to do. This is what I have to focus on. And he just takes off. It's insane.
It's totally insane. And as you said, I'm certain the accident was his fault. And
yes, he ran the red light or the stop sign. Totally.
Whatever it was. And B, he actually could have killed someone. We actually have no idea if someone else was hurt in this accident.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he runs off. It's handheld. He's running. He's bleeding, having left the scene of an accident. He comes into the concert, and I have to tell you one piece of behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Near the end of the shoot, Damien Chazelle was in a very serious car accident. He was hospitalized for a concussion, had to spend the night in the hospital, and was on the set directing the next day.
Damn.
Yep.
Wow. There's no concussion protocol for directors, I guess.
I get it. I would have done the same thing. 100%. If I had had a car accident during the assistance,
yeah,
you couldn't have kept me from the set.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, because when you have the concussion, you're not thinking straight. So it's always a danger. You know?
And spoiler alert, when you're directing a movie, you're not thinking straight either. It becomes all hands on deck. We are at war. This is a mission I have to complete. That's how it feels, you know? You're not sleeping. You're working constantly. Everything is a disaster. Like, that's how it feels. He makes it to the stage. He walks on, bleeding, looking wrecked, sits. Fletcher looks over at him. I don't think Fletcher fully sees him yet.
Yeah.
Like, I think he knows, he sees that he got on the stage. He kind of senses something wrong, but I don't think he's really seen the blood or anything yet. They start, he plays, and what's, I think Miles Teller's performance of being in pain, being at an emotional level that's unbelievable and doing everything in his power to do this one job that just a little while ago he could have done perfectly.
Just to think that you could survive a car accident, overcome shock, overcome the anger and the frustration you felt that your part was going to be taken from you, and that your body's not responding to what you wanted to do, your mind to your body, there's a disconnect here, and think that you can play jazz.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just the logic here, it's just like insane.
But I mean, how many incredible football players have gotten fucking knocked for a loop, being injured, and got up and scored the touchdown?
But I don't know. And back in the old days, you could do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that now.
No.
You know, because there's a concussion protocol now. But yeah, back in the old days, yeah.
Because really, you shouldn't leave the scene of a horrible accident where you might have a concussion.
Yeah. That's why those guys got CTE from all those hits. Yeah.
And then I think when it starts off, there's a sense that, like, a tiny sense that maybe he could pull this off.
Right. We as the audience are so conditioned by films like this for years that we think he can pull this off. He's going to get it done. Even though it might be unbelievable, I want him to get it done.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we're rooting for this crazy person. Because Andrew Neiman is crazy. I mean, that's really the big thing is, like, I thought we were going to spend all our time analyzing Terrence Fletcher, and of course we are. But it's Andrew Neiman that has become more fascinating to me.
No, Fletcher's the easy one. Neiman is the one that's really asks a lot of question of you as an audience. You know, where do you stand on him?
And then you see it start to fall apart, and you see Fletcher notice it start to fall apart, and then he drops a stick.
Yeah.
And he's trying to continue to drum one-handed, and with his bloody fingertips trying to reach that stick and pull it up. And now Fletcher really sees it.
Yeah.
Andrew is playing in pain. And what's funny is, in a weird way, to me, it parallels the Trial by Fire when he auditioned the three drummers. You know, I think that's how Andrew's seen it. It's like, I got to fight through this thing like I fought through everything else.
Yes.
And then Fletcher ends it.
Neiman, you're done.
Mercifully he ends it. Yeah.
Well, mercifully, except he also said, if you're a second late or play one long note, you will never play again. You know?
Right.
And so you're done is also, I think what Neiman is hearing is he's done forever. He's off the band. His career is ruined. His future is over. Everything is over.
Yeah.
And when Fletcher goes over to apologize to the audience, Neiman, and this to me is as unexpected as the car accident for me.
Yeah.
Is that Neiman charges straight through the drum set and tackles Fletcher completely unhinged, swearing, hitting him, just like an animal on top of Fletcher.
Shit! I'll fucking kill you! Get off me! Off me! Fuck off!
What does he say? Fletcher says something, and that's what triggers Neiman. Something about, like, you know, we're not 100%, or one of our drummers thought he could do something.
Yeah.
It was something like this that embarrassed him. And for me, what I think in this moment is every single moment where Neiman has been embarrassed publicly by somebody, his father, a friend, his mom, a family member, a schoolmate, comes rushing back to him in this moment. And why? Because he's still suffering the concussion of a car accident, and he's not thinking straight. And in that moment, he becomes, as you said, an animal, and a rageful animal, and he attacks. He physically assaults a teacher in public at a concert where people could have possibly gotten jobs, or he could have won an award here, and he just unleashes all this rage on him. And I don't think this rage is just Terrence Fletcher oriented. I think this is a lifetime of
Absolutely.
anger and dismissal and being overlooked, and that you're not going to take this away from me. Even though you gave it to me, you're not going to take this away from me. And it's an incredible moment. And I'm cheering for him more than the concert. I'm cheering for him here to get his licks in on Fletcher, who deserves a good ass kicking, to be honest with you.
It's funny, and it's the difference between you and me, because I just see all the consequences. So I'm just like, well, this is not going to, this isn't going to work out in any way.
I can deal with the consequences.
I completely agree with you. I think this is not just the dinner he just had with his family; it's all the dinners with his family.
Mm-hmm.
It's all it's the girlfriend he gave up for this. It's everything. Everything is coming out in this moment.
Yep.
And the other thing that happened in this moment, by the way, is that Miles Teller broke 2 of J.K. Simmons' ribs when he tackled him.
Holy shit!
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about needing an intimacy coordinator. Hello.
Right? And they drag the insane Andrew Neiman off. And what we're left with, which I think is a great shot to end the scene, is drips of blood on that symbol.
Yeah. I love the way he's dragged off. You motherfucker. I just love it. It's just so much rage there, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what's so funny, and I really do think it's a genetic disposition that's different between you and I.
Yeah.
Is that there's a pleasure in revenge and rage that I don't have access to. I really don't feel that feeling. I acknowledge it exists, but I don't feel it.
Yeah, I mean, we could go into that, but why bother? But yes,
we've covered some of this territory before. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 different upbringings. And so it's just that affects how you view the world and how you see certain things. I mean, I don't advocate people physically attacking other people. I really don't. But I do.
But you understand it.
But I understand it. Yeah, like that's why I like revenge movies, because they're fantasies. I can get out my revenge fantasies out in watching a movie. I've never put my hands on anybody in a sense of revenge. I've gotten into physical fights since 1989, 88 maybe. I have not put my physical hands on someone and punched someone. That just hasn't happened since the military, I guess. So 92, 94, something like that. But yeah, no, because I just don't. I think when you get reduced to physical violence, you're betraying your intelligence. But I certainly enjoy it watching it in movies, because there's an instinct at times for wanting people to get revenge at the horrible mistreatment that people visit on other people, and so, yeah.
It's funny. I actually think that my particular way of looking at the world might be far crazier than yours. Because my
ways.
Well, no, because my way of looking at this situation, and I genuinely think this is true. How can I persuade Terrence Fletcher to behave more nicely?
Yeah, and sometimes you can't persuade people.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's insane. But
we need the balance, which is why our show works. We need the balance,
And then we cut from the craziest, most intense, tension-building, violently climaxing sequence to Neiman sitting very, very quietly with his dad. There's this African-American woman talking very calmly to him in a serious way. And this is April Grace.
Yeah, April Grace, accomplished actress. She was just recently in One Battle After Another playing Sister Rochelle. So, one of the women there at the nunnery, I guess, for lack of a better term, that Chase Infinity ends up at. She's done a number of TV shows. She's been on Picard. She's been on The Good Doctor recently, Criminal Minds. So, she's an actress that works all the time. She was in Magnolia, The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 2, A Good Day to Die Hard, which I wouldn't brag to put on my resume. But, quite a number of things that she's been a part of. 4 episodes of Lost. She was a recurring character on Lost. She was in Joan of Arcadia as a recurring character as well. So this is a very accomplished actress that only gets really one scene to show what she can do here. And you mentioned PTA, so maybe, maybe he had seen something in her in that PTA movie and wanted to put her in Whiplash, Damien Chazelle.
By the way, quick thought, and maybe I'll cut this out, but you mentioned A Good Day to Die Hard, and we once did a live show, which was a lot of fun, of trying to figure out what is the best, most consistent movie series in the world, and we came to things like Rocky and Toy Story and Mad Max being 3 of the ones that have the highest level. I actually think a good short would be what is the worst, where there's a movie like, and Die Hard's in the running, where there is one fantastic, amazing movie, and then one one, pretty good movie and a lot of not good movies. Like that would be an interesting short. Anyway.
The Matrix. That's the number one.
Oh, The Matrix. Oh, yeah. There's a good one.
All 3 of the installments afterwards were not good. So, yeah.
And Andrew is clearly in a defensive, cautious position and says,
When did you start talking to her?
Your father got in contact with us this week. Does the name Sean Casey mean anything to you? You know of his death? Last month he hanged himself in his apartment.
And you watch Andrew take that in, because that means a lot more to him now,
What does that have to do with me?
Sean suffered from anxiety and depression. His mother claims this started during his time as Fletcher's student.
And what they say is that basically it's not that they want to sue Fletcher. What they say is that they want to make sure that Fletcher is never allowed to do this to another student. And he doesn't answer. And I don't know if this decision was made in post or if this is in the script. But what Chazelle chooses to do is that he's going to intercut this scene with moments from Neiman's life after he was kicked out of Schaefer for what happened with Fletcher.
Right.
And I think it's a great choice. Because that's what we see next. We see his dismissal letter from Fletcher. We see him put in a CD, and we see him looking at a home movie of himself as a little kid playing drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
By intercutting these scenes, what he's doing is that we see that he's reevaluating his whole life, his whole relationship to drums.
Yeah.
And that reevaluation is what's going to help him answer the question of the scene that we're in the middle of, which is he going to testify against Fletcher?
He didn't do anything.
What is wrong with you? It's over, okay? He's out of your life. Why would you let him get away with what he did to you?
Would you characterize his conduct as extreme, Andrew?
Because I feel like Dad, when you see your kid getting hurt and then they're going to go do it again. And you're like, no, you had this experience. You know where it went. You know that it hurt you,
But I think what fathers forget, because I think this happens, parents get amnesia.
Absolutely. I agree.
You all did the same fucking thing. And your dad and your mom said the same fucking thing to you. This is part of life. And of course, the instinct is a beautiful instinct. I want to stop my child from going into another toxic situation with the same person. I got to stop them. But, you're always struggling with the individuality and the independence of a human being who has to walk their own path to learn their own lessons, because you can't learn their lessons for them. And I understand this moment from the dad point of view for sure, because Paul Reiser plays this really well. He's so much love and care for his son in this moment, but he also is a dad who's not going to enforce his will on his son, because he also respects his son's independence. So he walks this tightrope really high, for his son.
So
him defending the accuser is, we see that all the time. No, he was only joking. He was only joking when he said these things. It's really insane.
I want to frame, because I actually completely agree with you, and I want to frame something very specific. And strangely enough, this was a lesson I learned from Hoover. This was a Hoover parenting thing that I really, really believed in, and I still believe in to some degree, which is what Hoover said. Because when I first met him, he'd been married 4 times. He has adult kids my age, and he had little kids when I met him. So his from his 4th marriage. And and Hoover, his kids they've been to Cuba, they've been on mountains, they lived experiences that you and I have never lived. Right. And his attitude about his kids was, we celebrate every bruised knee, every single fall, so it's great. We go, that's awesome, because that's all places they learn everything up until the point where they're seriously injured. We want them to fall and bump and have scrapes and explore the world in every way, but we want to avoid the serious injury. And I thought this was really good advice.
Yeah.
But the hard thing is that what you do, I agree with you, is that you have to let your kid go out and have the experience and get hurt, and that's what has to happen. But you also want to avoid lifelong trauma that is going to hurt them possibly permanently.
Absolutely.
And
You want to try to. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And this is the thing with Fletcher isn't that you went and rode your bike and you fell and you skinned your knee and now you're going to ride your bike better. That's not what Fletcher is. Or you dated a girl and you got hurt and now you learned lessons and that's good. Fletcher is lifelong trauma, you know. Again, this lawyer or whoever she is trying to get answers out of Neiman about how Fletcher treated him, and he is not answering, and we're going back to those home movies, and we're going back to him thinking, and they explain that this isn't going to be a trial. He's never have to confront Fletcher. It's merely like a statement that's going to anonymously go to the school to get him fired. And still he's resisting, and still he's pushing back, not on the lawyer, but on his dad, and says,
"Why would you do this to me?"
Why does he say that? What does he think his dad is doing to him?
Well, again, his dad is in a way betraying him in a public way to a stranger. And again, I'm not saying Neiman is correct, right? I'm trying to explain Neiman's logic, as I see it. And I think Neiman sees his father once again betraying him in a situation here, taking a stranger's word over his word, and in a way getting in the way of what he wants to achieve, which is this greatness, which he has been obsessed in believing that he is destined to be, right? And so that his father would be the one that would be willing to stand in his way, it feels like a betrayal to Neiman yet again, another betrayal in his life. You know, I'm saying that's how he sees it. Again, I want to reiterate that. I'm not saying I agree with Neiman's point of view. I'm saying that's how he sees it, which is why he says to his father, he says there in that moment, why would you do this to me? You know, because you're helping to take away the thing. Because I think Neiman in some fucked up way thinks he can still talk himself back into this band.
Yep.
And convince Fletcher. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, because it's in Neiman's mind, there is a structure by which you become Bird. And Fletcher and people like him are a part of it. And you can't betray that structure and still become Charlie Parker.
Right.
So I agree. That's what he thinks he's doing to him. And this next moment, A, I think Paul Reiser is amazing. B, you said something before when you referenced this line, and I heard the exact same thing, which is you referenced Al Pacino in Godfather 2 saying, would you let me take my kids away from me? Would you ever let me do? I bet, I have no evidence, and the odds are slim. I bet Damien Chazelle was thinking about that line in this line, because rhythmically it's so similar, even though tonally it's totally different.
Yeah, he's delivering the line almost exactly as Pacino delivers it in Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
Well, in terms of rhythm, I mean, emotionally, it's completely, because Al Pacino's terrifying and violent and scary in that scene, and he is loving and kind in this scene. But rhythmic, it's really the same. He says,
and he's almost trying to convince me, like, don't you get it? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Do you think that I would let him put my son through hell and then just walk away scot-free? Don't you know I would never let that happen? That there is nothing in the world more important to me than you.
It's such a powerful moment, man, because he's trying to get Neiman to see. Because isn't this like at the beginning of the movie when he say like, I don't understand you, right? The way you do things, right? He leads with love, but he has a son who is got it in his head that he is determined to be this great thing. And so he is trying to say to him, like, this path you're walking is so unhealthy. As you were saying earlier, just a few minutes ago, Steve, this path you're walking is so unhealthy. Don't you understand that I love you? Don't you understand what I'm doing is from a place of love? And I'm sure so many parents, my dad said this to me when I was just my wild days in my 20s. My father would always try to corral me, and I would always feel like my father was against me. And he was just like, I'm trying to get you to understand I'm coming from a place of love to stop you from doing these things, right? That are so self-destructive, that are ruining your life. You're spending all your money, you have no money in the bank. And yet you're working and you're just working to spend money. You're going out drinking, you shouldn't even be drinking, you're underage. Like there's all these things that I did in my 20s that were wild, in my teens even. And my dad was always trying to like get me to understand how much he loves me, and it's that thing. And you don't see it because you've got this rage inside of you that comes from where you don't know where it comes from, but it's inside of you. And you're trying to figure out life and process that rage and figure out where you belong. And it's just so many conflicting feelings. And so I think in this moment, that's Paul Reiser is trying to say from the father place. Like, come on, I love you. Don't you understand? I'm doing this because I love you, not because I'm against you. I'm with you. And there's a better path.
And what's so great about this structure is we have this moment where dad puts this really emotionally loving, powerful moment, and then the lawyer asks him again, and again he doesn't answer, and again structurally we go back to his life, where before he was examining his life as a drummer, looking at his drums, watching himself play as a kid. Now it's very different because he takes all his jazz CDs and he throws them in the trash. And he tosses his drum kit and starts packing it up. He takes down the posters of Buddy Rich. So now we see, in the course of this one scene where he has to make this decision, we actually see a whole bunch of life that leads him to making that decision.
I think this is what's amazing about this section. I'm glad you highlighted it, Steve, because this is master filmmaking. How do I progress the time of this kid realizing he was in a toxic relationship and that there was a healthy approach to life and surrendering his dream and leading to him signing that form?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the form, I think we're supposed to believe this all happens in the same session, the signing of the form and all of that.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're going back and forth, I think for us as a film goer, we can do both things at the same time. We can be in the current scene and seeing the future scenes as flashbacks to what he's going to do, or flash forwards to what he's going to do, so that we buy him signing the thing, even though it's in the same session. So it's like this, he's been on this journey, this psychological journey. So now we can accept it, that it wasn't an overnight thing, that he had to take some time, that he had to do these little steps, and step by step, he has untangled Fletcher from his life for now. And so we buy him signing that by the end of that scene, because we have been on this journey, even though the scene is a self-contained scene in its own way.
Well, in my gut, and I have zero evidence of this at all, but I am confident that this happened in the editing room, because
probably,
because and we've always talked about, like, the editing room is this really mysterious place, and it's very hard to tell what exactly happened there. But my guess is that he wrote a scene where it was this conversation with this lawyer, at the end of which he's going to decide to turn on Fletcher. Yeah. And he had this montage where we see Andrew's life as it progresses from the moments directly after the dismissal until he gets to the place where he throws away the CDs and packs up the drums. Maybe the montage went before the scene with the lawyer, or maybe it was the lawyer scene first. But either way, they watched the scene with the lawyer and they went, "This is totally flat. It's emotionally, there's nothing happening here. This doesn't work." And then they have the brilliant idea of, what if we intercut, and suddenly the fuel from the images in the montage are adding emotion and decision points to the scene that was flat in the first place.
100%. 100%.
That's totally what happens in the editing room. And we go back to the meeting.
Andrew?
Just tell me what to say.
And just tell me what to say isn't the same as, I will now say my truth. Those are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And now we cut to him, our great jazz drummer, working behind the counter at a sandwich shop.
Mm-hmm.
And he's walking down the street, and it's New York, and he sees posters for the jazz festival, and he's hanging out with Dad, and we hear Dad is kind of loaded up. Dad's still kind of taking care of him in his new apartment and helping out and wants him to have a good life. Then he's alone, and he looks at Nicole's contact in the phone, which all of us have done in one way, shape, or form.
Oh, God, yes.
And then he's out on the street. I love that he walks by a street drummer who's playing on buckets. I think that's a great choice, because in this world that he's in post-Schaefer, music is everywhere, you know? He's surrounded by it. It envelops him. And then he walks up to, like, a jazz club and sees a sign, and the last person listed on the playbill is Terrence Fletcher. And he goes inside.
Yeah. Some things you have to just kind of go through yourself.
Yep.
And I think no matter how much his father encouraged him to put this desire away and all this kind of stuff, it was like his father lived this progression for him, but he didn't. And I think what you highlighted is really important, Steve. Just tell me what to say.
Yep.
And as you said, that's not saying, I'm done with this. You guys are right. I'm moving on. It's saying, I just want to be done with this. And this is the right thing to do. My dad wants me to do it. I can't come back to Schaefer. Fletcher hates me, so fuck it. I'll just do it. But now there's unresolved feelings here, and seeing that name triggers them.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. He just wants to be done with the thing with dad and the lawyer. He's not done with Fletcher. And he goes inside, and there's J.K. Simmons playing at the piano. J.K. Simmons can play piano. What he said is like basically he had played a little, but he really just had to learn how to play this small part of this song really convincingly, you know?
There was no improvs, no extra flights of fancy. Just teach me what I need to learn.
And I think he does a great job.
He does.
And I also think it's interesting that this is not like the jazz band at Schaefer. This is like, I mean, I can't define it because I'm not a jazz expert, but this seems like a very different kind of groove and a very different kind of group than what he was doing at the school.
It's a trio. It's a performing trio. Yeah, like what you would see in LA, like at the Baked Potato, that jazz club that was over there by Universal Studios. Yeah.
And he finishes up the song and nods to the crowd, and then he sees Andrew, and Andrew kind of heads to the door, but he's there.
Yeah.
And then we cut to him, which I think is very surprising. We cut to them sitting at a table having a drink.
We're so scared, aren't we? Aren't we scared, Steve, in this moment? Aren't we like
terrified?
Oh, shit. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the scene goes completely differently than where we thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
Which does it. But what's interesting is the scene goes differently, but I don't think that lessens the terror at all.
No.
I think maybe it amps it up.
I don't know if you heard, I'm not at Schaefer anymore.
Yeah, I did hear that. Did you quit?
Which is exactly the right. I understand why you said that lie. That is the correct lie for that circumstance.
What happened, man?
Not exactly. Some parents got a kid from Sean Casey's year, I think, to say some things about me.
So he says they got a kid from Sean Casey's year, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Does he already know it was Andrew?
100%.
I agree.
1,000,000%. And that's what's great about this scene, because this is a moment, this whole sequence rather. Chazelle fools us, and we become Neiman. In this sequence, we are Neiman because Fletcher fools us, and Chazelle, as the director, fools us because he gives us no hints. He doesn't direct J.K. to give us any hints that J.K. is lying or might be luring him into he's using honey to lure him into a trap. None of that. And we go along with this. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he doesn't know that it was him. Maybe this will lead to a relationship down the road and professional relationship that's a little, just be a secret between them. But that's not the case.
Well, and that line, a kid from Sean Casey's year, isn't just like a misdirect. It is a purposeful red herring directed at Andrew to make him feel safe.
Yes. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Although why anybody would have anything other than peaches and cream to say about me is a mystery. That's a good laugh, right?
I'm sorry.
No, listen, hey,
I'm sorry.
I get it. I know I made enemies.
So, and again, this is the thing about abusers that we said before. Abusers have to be seductive.
Yes.
If they're not, they can't abuse you because you won't stick around.
Right.
Him making that self-deprecating joke and the thing about that's a good laugh, right? Is like saying, yeah, I know it can be an asshole, but we're all agreed about it. I get it,
Yeah.
And then right away, he brings up the fact that he is conducting this little thing for this jazz festival. It's a big deal. He's working with a pro band and it sounds great. So we drop that and then we kind of review Schaefer.
Truth is, I don't think people understood what it was I was doing at Schaefer. I wasn't there to conduct. Any fucking moron can wave his arms and keep people in tempo. I was there to push people beyond what's expected of them. I believe that is an absolute necessity.
So I don't think in his contract it said, you are here to push people. That was not what he was actually hired to do, but that is what he thinks he was hired to do.
Otherwise, we're depriving the world of the next Louis Armstrong, the next Charlie Parker.
And then, of course, he repeats the same story. So, as I said before, he did throw a symbol at Charlie Parker. He didn't throw at his head. And from what I have read, and I'm not an expert on this, and I'm sure people who really know jazz know more details, and I probably get some of it wrong, but my understanding is that he was making a joke. He was laughing at Charlie Parker. He didn't violently throw it at his head. And then this idea, because the way Fletcher has framed it, is that this is the most important thing in his life. And it was Fletcher's whole idea is that coddling and saying good job and being supportive is destructive to the goal of becoming someone like Charlie Parker. Only through constant stress and being pushed beyond by unreasonable people can you get to be Charlie Parker. That is his theory. That is definitely not true of Charlie Parker. From what I've read about Charlie Parker, first of all, he had a doting mother who scrimped and saved to buy him that first sax. He met a mentor named Buster Smith who helped him out incredibly. He worked as a dishwasher with a guitarist whose name was Bidley Fleet, and they played together all the time and became close buddies. When he first started working professionally, there's a guy named Robert Simpson who was a peer and a trombone player, and he showed him the ropes and the basics of improvisation. In other words, while there were probably Fletchers in his life, and maybe Joe Jones was one of them, there were also these other people who provided different models and maybe helped out and supported and were kind to Charlie Parker at other moments when that's what he needed.
But that narrative doesn't serve Fletcher. And there are people in the world who will manipulate a story or grab a certain element of a story in order to push their points of views or reaffirm their views on the world and, in essence, legitimize their actions or rationalize their actions. And Fletcher is one of them. He tells this story in a certain way, just like he told the story about a car accident with Sean Casey for his own benefit and to get into young minds and essentially manipulate them into believing this story. So it validates everything Fletcher is going to do to try to get you to the Charlie Parker place. And Sean Casey is evidence of failure to him, evidence of what can happen, and he kind of shuts that out. And so this idea of he finds now with Neiman, with Andrew, he can kind of like still play the strings a little bit with him in these sequences and in these scenes. And we know this in our day. This is what's great about the movie and why a lot of people wrote articles about this movie. It's like, it's a battle between what's the right way, the Paul Reiser way, the huggy, cuddly, love my son, leading with love way. Is that the best way to parent a child? Or is the other element the better element that like toughens you up and puts you through shit because life is tough and life is hard? And the truth is there's no 100% truth either way. It's all a matter of case-by-case basis. What do you respond to? What does the child respond to? What does a guy in the military respond to? What does your workmate, the employee below you as you're a manager, respond to? In sports, man management is a massive deal. I'm going to talk to this player a certain way, but I'm not going to talk to that player in the same way because they come from two different upbringings or they view the game differently. And so it's a matter of figuring out what works for every person. What he has done is just defaulted to the easiest gear, which is anger, frustration, embarrassment, ridicule, and he's just going to apply that to everybody. So he never has to focus on amending his approach to anybody. And I think it's a simplistic, ignorant point of view and life mantra to have, you know?
So I agree with all of that. I think the whole idea that it's a binary choice is proven over and over and over again in our life. It's not true because we know great teachers who were supportive, wonderful, fuzzy creatures, and we know great ones who were tough, hard ones. And the other thing is it's not just situational person to person, it's situational moment to moment within the same person. You, I am sure, have had a moment where someone kicked your ass and that's what you needed at that moment.
Yes.
And you had some moments where someone helped you up and that's what you needed at that moment.
Yep, 100%.
But that's not what he thinks. He says,
So imagine if Jones had just said, well, that's okay, Charlie. That was all right. Good job. And Charlie thinks to himself, well, shit, I did do a pretty good job. End of story. No bird. That to me is an absolute tragedy.
We still, not to get too political, but this is the arguments we face today, right? I was watching somebody yesterday who is connected to, the family in charge of our country. And that person said, no, I don't say loving things to my children at all. I push them. I let them fall. I'm harsh on them. No, I'm not there to hold your hand. I'm there to motivate you and make you tougher because it's a tough world. And so you see that there are people who embrace this mentality and this approach to the world and believe that this is why the world isn't stronger, because we've allowed the ability to talk feelings to be something that's a focus of our mainstream approach to the world. And that angers them because they think it makes us soft. But the truth is, talking about your feelings, opening up about your feelings is way tougher than dealing with the other stuff, the physical discomfort or whatever. It's way tougher to talk about your feelings. The only people who push the idea that you need to be tough and all of this stuff and endure things and all of that are the people who can't talk about their feelings. And it's actually tough for them. So they betray a weakness that they don't understand that they're betraying to people who understand how tough it is to be honest about your feelings and talk about your feelings.
Totally agree. And I think the other side is true too, which is there are people who says we just need to give more and be warmer and be more supportive and just and you're just letting people get away with all sorts of things and encouraging the behavior that you're trying to get away from.
Right. Like most things, the middle ground is the ground we need to be at.
Well, this is why I seem to piss off everyone on both the left and the right, because I'm always going, well, you got to look at both of these things. So everyone's angry at me. But beyond that.
Are they really, though? Are they
no,
really,
no,
though?
I don't actually think I
was going to say, I don't think you have a lot of fights with people. So
No, it's not. I actually don't piss off everyone on the left or the right. I just mildly irk a lot of people in a lot of different directions. I don't think I piss people off as much. And this is great. This is kind of where we wanted to get to, because now we're actually, in a way, talking about Fletcher and Neiman.
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
But is there a line? Maybe you go too far and you discourage the next Charlie Parker from ever becoming Charlie Parker.
And Fletcher has his answer ready in a second. He says,
no, man, no, because the next Charlie Parker would never be discouraged.
I wrote down, discuss.
Well, like you said, it's a canned answer, because I'm sure he's had people ask him this question as well. And so he's developed this answer. And it's a convenient answer that reinforces his point of view and his behavior in the world and the way he teaches, right? But it's not actually, to me, it's not actually an accurate situation, because you can absolutely discourage a Charlie Parker because creative people, sometimes it's the thing, the greatest creative people, we have missed out on some amazing artists because they didn't find the right teacher at the right time. They had the wrong teacher at the wrong time, which discouraged them and they never made it. And so there's so much of that. The people who make it, just like about movies, Steve, this is true as well. The people who find success, there is no one right way or just add water mixture. It is a matter of luck, timing, motivation, talent, and just for whatever reason you were chosen. For whatever cosmic reason you were chosen. Because there are plenty of actors who work their asses off and never achieve the fame that some actors achieve, what it seems like effortlessly. And that's across the board in everything. And so what he's saying to him is a convenient way to respond that reinforces his point of view, but it's actually a very false point of view in all of this,
I think this is an incredibly seductive philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think it is totally wrong. And as you know, it's come up several times on the show. I have a bizarre fascination with Ayn Rand. who
Yeah.
fascinates me and pisses me off constantly. This is some bullshit Ayn Rand shit right here. This is exactly the narrative that she spins, which is that there are these special people, there are these world-changing people that cannot be discouraged, that will conquer any difficulty, and that is what we should aspire to. And what's so seductive about it is we're all the heroes of our own stories. We all live as feeling like I have some special destiny. And because of that, this idea of the Charlie Parker couldn't be discouraged fits into the and I could be that person. And we don't think about the fact that if there are these special people, which I think that there are definitely special people, but I don't think it's quite in the way that he's framing it here. But if they are exceptionally rare. The vast majority of us are people. We're not, we're not born to be Charlie Parkers who can't be discouraged. But if we we feel like we are. The feeling is still there. We buy into the narrative, and then we go, and this narrative is 100% not true. And one of the pieces of evidence is how many amazing, incredibly talented people with decades of contributions ahead of them lost their life like Charlie Parker through drugs or through suicide or through mental health issues. And the reason is because the Charlie Parkers can be discouraged.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. It's easy to discourage them. And then because what really happened is that maybe Sean Casey could have been a Charlie Parker, but he killed himself because he was tortured and mentally fucked up by this Terrence Fletcher guy. The person who prevented him from becoming Charlie Parker was the person who planted the seeds of this brilliant student's suicide.
That's the irony of Fletcher, is that he is probably responsible for destroying more Charlie Parkers than he will ever create.
Exactly.
Potential Charlie Parker, yeah.
Well, and the other guys in the band manage too. Charlie Parker isn't the only guy that matters. Like you need and so there were all these other people who maybe they never had that Charlie Parker thing because most of us don't, but they could have played in a great band. Maybe they couldn't play in the Lincoln Center band, but they could play at the LA band or the San Francisco band, and they could be great and have a great life and enjoy their music and make great music and entertain people.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why Terrence Fletcher fucking pisses me off. I mean, really does. And then in a moment of what I would say is both honest truth and 100% brilliant manipulation, Fletcher says,
The truth is, Andrew, I never really had a Charlie Parker. But I tried. I actually fucking tried. And that's more than most people ever do. And I will never apologize for how I tried.
It's great. It's so, and I think he 100% believes this.
So far up his own ass, man.
And it's such a manipulation because this is exactly what he needs Andrew to hear to get him to do what he wants him to do. It's outside. We're saying goodbye. And then just as a throwaway afterthought, it seems, he says,
Hey, Andrew, listen, I have no idea how you're going to take this, but the band I'm leading for JVC, my drummer is not cutting it. You understand what I'm saying?
So you're watching this the first time.
Yeah.
Are you totally swept into this, or are you just totally distrusting this?
No, totally distrusting. I remember being like, oh no. Because I mean, I've dated and experienced manipulative people in my life. And certainly, when I was in my worser stages of my own mental health struggles when I was younger and stuff, I was manipulative. So I get it. I know the patterns. And the fact that he brings it up right at the end as they're about to leave, after he softened him up with these conversations about life philosophies, that's on purpose. That's on purpose. You make him feel comfortable, let his guard down, and then go, hey, by the way, I don't know how you feel. And even leading by saying, like, I don't know how you're going to feel about it. It's the classic way of speaking like you care about their power and their strength. And you put it, you give them the illusion that it's in their court. But you know that you're manipulating them to do this thing that you want them to do. So again, I go back to this thing. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show. I feel like I have, but like I watch these TikTok videos I've told you before of animals and whatever, and watching that couple that take care of mountain lions and seeing how the mountain lion is like so coy and playful and rolls around all cute and shit. And the second you put your finger near the cage when he's doing that stuff, it launches itself at your hand to try to bite it because it is tricking you. It is tricking you with its cuteness. And that's essentially what Fletcher is doing here. Although he's not cute, he is tricking you with this approach, or Neiman with this approach.
I mean, we've mentioned many times my lifelong obsession with con artist movies like The Sting, and of course The Assistants is a con artist movie. And the big lesson for me was from House of Games, where the scene with Joe Mantegna, where he says that the secret to a confidence game is not that you give me your confidence, it's that I give you my confidence.
Right.
The con artist makes the person think that they are trusting them.
Yeah.
What has happened in this moment is he's saying, I trust you as a drummer.
Right.
He is giving Andrew he's showing how confident he is in him. And not only that, but we find out for some reason they're doing exactly the same set that he did at his school that he's teaching, which is really weird, by the way.
What about Ryan Connolly?
All Connolly ever was to me was incentive for you.
Which may or may not be true, but is 100% a manipulation at this moment.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, 100%.
Tanner?
Tanner switched to pre-med. I guess he got discouraged. Hey, take the weekend, think about it.
And we push in on Andrew's face as we think about it. And we already know where this movie is going. By the way, we've talked about, you mentioned the thing before of who is he calling? And I kind of went, I don't think that makes sense, but it doesn't really bump me in the movie. Like it doesn't emotionally take me out of it. I also think this whole thing doesn't make sense. Like, how did he come up with this plan? Did he plan for Andrew to accidentally walk by a cafe where he happens to be playing in a jazz combo? There's no way to plan this in advance, which means that he already had put together this thing where he's playing the exact same set as the school and comes up with this plan in this moment. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I never bumped on it in the movie. It's only in really thinking about it that I realized it's a little bit weird.
I think he comes up with the plan as he's talking to Andrew.
Yeah, he has to. It's the only way.
And he probably got rid of that drummer right after he talked to Andrew. Like just sensed that Andrew was going to say yes. So he probably concocted some situation to get rid of that drummer. And so, because clearly drumming is the big thing to him. It's not any of the other instruments. It's the drumming. And so he has a manipulation already in place, probably with that drummer already. And he just pressed the buttons and got rid of that drummer as soon as Andrew said yes, or he suspected Andrew was going to say yes.
Well,
So I think this has all come up in the fly. And and did he have that set? Because you said he had that set, but when we see here in just a few minutes, it's a completely different song.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's a good point too. So he could have just lied about it being that set.
Completely.
That's a good point too. I mean, I still think there's things about this that don't actually make a ton of sense.
Sure.
But again, I say I care a lot about things making sense. But the real thing is the movie emotionally working? And it 100% is. By the way, so when he got brought on to the studio band, he got up the courage to ask Nicole out. When he realized the studio band was going to be way tougher, he decided he had to break up with Nicole. And now when he has a chance to play with Fletcher again, what is the first thing he does?
Yeah, calls Nicole.
Nicole. And it's just so, what's so funny is I find this sad, but I also kind of feel like good when it goes the way it does. I feel like Andrew didn't deserve to get Nicole back. And I'm glad what happens. Which is he calls her, he apologizes relatively nicely, and then tells her about this gig.
JVC, it's like it's a jazz thing.
Well, I don't know if I can come. I was going to check with my boyfriend.
That line is such an arrow to the heart. But like I said, I feel like Andrew deserves this arrow to the heart at this moment, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, and in a lot of ways, I think what you said is such a great point. Like, I think he didn't want to call Nicole because he was embarrassed of working behind at a coffee shop and all that. So now that he's feels like he's coming back to who he was, possibly, he feels like he's got something to brag about. He can now go talk to her and maybe, in his mind, delude himself that he's in a healthier place and he could apologize for the mistakes. But in a lot of ways, what he's doing is shades of what Fletcher has just done to him. He's kind of being nice and honeying the pot and all of this to get Nicole to come back. Because he wants her back. Or maybe he needs her back. Maybe he just feels like he's stronger or cockier with her by his side. And so it's that kind of thing. So he's in essence trying to manipulate her. The difference is that she drops the boyfriend thing. So my question for you is, and we know this with women, you and I have met before or interacted with, and we know this in history. Sometimes women will say they have a boyfriend or they'll wear a wedding ring out to avoid getting hit on or to not let this, or to basically make it clear to this person that they shouldn't hit on them anymore. So do you think she legitimately has a boyfriend?
So I've thought about this too. And I would say my impression, the first several times I saw the movie, I just went, it was true. Her performance, I just believed it. I have since decided, not because I feel this way, but I like it better if she didn't have a boyfriend and she's just purposely sticking it to him right now. I prefer that. You know,
I think it's more a matter she's doing what Neiman can't do. She's standing up for herself. As you said earlier in part one, I think, Steve, that she has this steal. And this is the steal coming forward where she says to him, the boyfriend, and I don't know. And she's just like putting it, because Neiman can't create boundaries. She is someone who can. And that's why she doesn't fall into Neiman's trap and is not there in the crowd for the JVC performance, you know.
The other thing you mentioned, which I hadn't thought about, but I actually think is really important, which is the thought of, if I'm working at the sandwich shop, I can't ask her out. But now that I'm back to being the drummer with this cool thing, then now I feel like I can. And that is a total misunderstanding of everything we learned about Nicole. Because the whole fight was, the whole thing she said at the beginning about college is like about being an ordinary person and not knowing what she wants. And then she feels judged because he has this big dream and she's just an ordinary person. She wouldn't judge him for working in a sandwich shop. That's being an ordinary person. Him feeling he could only be with her by putting on this, that he's at this higher level, is repeating exactly the same mistake he made when he broke up with her. You know, that he's learned nothing about this, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and she's not the kind of person who cares about airs like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he hangs up and he has just like the littlest kind of smile on his face. Like to me, it sort of feels like, maybe not I deserve that, but okay, that's what it is. And the camera pushes in on him. And I think he's just thinking, I just got to drum even better. You know, every pain gets turned back into just back to drumming.
And maybe in some ways he's also smiling because he's like, good for you for standing up for yourself and not falling for
maybe. That is, I hope it's that, because that is a better thing for his character than what I'm thinking about.
Fair point.
And now, you know, we see him getting ready. We see the Band-Aids on the fingers, putting on the jacket. We see him with the tools. He looks up, by the way, I don't think I had mentioned, but this is going to be at Carnegie Hall. And he shows up at Carnegie Hall, and this was they had like 2 days to shoot in New York. And so they got the Carnegie Hall shot, a few other very New Yorkish exteriors. Everything else is in LA. We get to the warm-up room. There's all these musicians talking music. He peeks through the door into the lobby and sees his dad walk by and closes the door before his dad sees him.
So let me ask you, does his dad know that this is for Fletcher? Do you think he told him this is for Fletcher? Or does his dad see the Fletcher thing when he sits down and is just like horrified by all of it?
I think this is a genuine thing missing from the movie. Certainly missing from you had said before that you felt that Paul Reiser's character could maybe be developed a little bit more. That if Dad finds out he's going back to Fletcher, there is a fucking scene.
There is.
Even sweet Paul Reiser, who's always trying to be nice and loving, would be, he would be pissed. I don't think he would stand for this. So it's either what you said, that he lied about it, in which case there's a scene where Paul Reiser realizes what's going. There should be a scene where we see him lie, and then Paul Reiser shows up and sees Fletcher and has a reaction. Or there's a scene where they have a discussion about it. The fact that it's missing, I do see as something that's genuinely missing from the film.
And not even Fletcher, just the discussion that he's going back to play again. Because Chazelle made a big deal of showing this montage of him packing up his kit, putting away his sticks, not drumming, throwing away the jazz CDs. Like, this is him walking away from it. So the fact that he would open the door to it again and calling his father to tell him he's performing for a band and inviting him down, whether he knows it's Fletcher or not, there's still a scene here to discuss about him becoming a drummer again or taking it up again, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's missing. But it's also, but this is also, you're in a low budget independent film.
Yeah,
Maybe
of course.
he had that scene and that was the scene that he had to cut, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I made The Assistants and we finally locked down the budget, my first job was cut, I think 15 pages, 4 characters and 7 or 8, maybe 10 locations.
Yeah.
That's the first job. You know, that's what independent filmmaking is like.
Yep.
Tonight could change your life. The folks out there make a phone call. You could be a Blue Note signee, an EMC client, a Lincoln Center core. On the other hand, if you drop the ball, you might be looking for a new line of work, because the other thing about these cats is they never forget.
Which isn't true. Yes, there are opportunities to get discovered, but everybody's in bad plays. Everybody's in bad shows. Everybody has, you know, every actor all the great actors we can find in the first thing they showed up in that were terrible. Like that's what it is. That's not true either.
We all set? All right. Let's have fun.
And man, Fletcher's gonna have fun. Like he has a great thing. We're behind Neiman as he walks in, and then we cut to his face, and it's full Eye of the Tiger. You know what I mean? Like he's walking in to go for it. This is shot in the Orpheum in LA. It's not shot in Carnegie Hall. Like a lot of movies that we've done, sports movies or movies with big crowds, they had these extras for a very limited amount of time. This is like a 3 or 4 day shoot. They had the extras for 6 hours. So anything that saw the audience, they had to get in those first 6 hours. And then everything else, they turn around to get on stage. They're doing with no audience.
Right.
And my feeling in this scene, particularly the more that Fletcher smiles, is just major dread. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't feel good about anything that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing, too, that makes me suspicious is from what I've known about Fletcher would never let a drummer on stage to play in a performance with a band when he had never rehearsed that drummer with that band.
Right.
Like they would never do that. Right. But we hear the applause. He sits down on the kit. He looks confident. He looks down at the music, and there, the first song is Whiplash. It's it's the title of the movie. It's the song we've been in multiple times. We feel very comfortable. Fletcher, you know, gets applause, smiles up at this, then walks up to Andrew, leans in and says,
You think I'm fucking stupid?
What?
I know it was you.
Which is totally, I know it was you, Fredo. Another Godfather 2 reference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Except this Fredo's going to fight back.
Yeah. And he takes that in. We're seeing Fletcher from behind make his speech.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited to be here kicking off the JVC Festival this year. I'm Terrence Fletcher, and these are some of the best musicians in New York, which means they're some of the best musicians in the world. And we're going to do some old standards for you, but first we're going to start out with a new tune by Tim Simonek called Upswingin'.
And the camera like pushes in on Andrew, and the musicians are all getting ready, and the feeling of horribleness is so high now for me. Watching this, it's just, oh my God, no.
This is every nightmare you've ever had about performing nude or not having your lines memorized or going out on stage and not knowing what the play is. Like, it's all of that coming for you in this moment. It's so visceral. First, him walking up and saying what he says to him is utterly devastating. And all our worst fears now come to the front when we're watching this movie. And then him doing this piece of music. And you see Andrew look around and everyone else has the score except him. Just like what he did to him with Connolly, how he gave Connolly the score ahead of time and then brought him in to go toe-to-toe with Neiman and just gave Neiman the score a few seconds ago and was like, okay, do it. You know, it's the same thing. He's pulling the same move on him. And now he's getting his revenge. And this is childish. This is petty beyond petty. This is an adult doing this to a 20-year-old kid. It is horrible what he's doing. But yeah.
Well, and what's so crazy about it, Fletcher, who cares more about his reputation than anything else in the world, is willing to go on stage in Carnegie Hall and look terrible in order to fuck up this kid.
This is the moment that, for me, people who defend Fletcher in the movie, and there are quite a lot of articles that defend him and the way he was, this is the moment to me that's the end of the discussion. The fact that he was willing to sacrifice his reputation, his career, and the possible success of all the people in that band in order to satisfy his petty, childish, immature desire to get revenge on Andrew, who, by the way, was correct to call him out in his tactics and what he did to kids and what he did to people and the horrible ways he treated them and the racist things he said and sexist things he says. That one female player is all there. It wasn't like Fletcher, you could argue, was hard done by the situation. He deserved every bit of it. So this makes it all the more brutal, what he does, and makes him a completely immature person who is stuck in a state of high school arrested development.
We can also add, by the way, homophobic, anti-Semitic, fat shaming, Irish shaming, and pretty much every other horrible thing you could possibly add. Yeah. And they start playing, and you see, and Andrew is a good musician, and you see him trying to figure it out and play along. At the moment that the bass player looks over at him and says, "What the fuck you doing?" It's just terrible, and he fucks up more, and the other musicians are looking, and he's scrambling, and Fletcher is having a ball, and there's kind of a moment where he thinks he's kind of starting to get it. But the problem with songs is once you get one moment, they change into another thing. They change tempo, they change everything. And then the worst moment is just at the end where we're ending the song. He plays just a couple of other beats because he didn't know when to stop. It's just terrible. And there's that awkward applause. And Fletcher goes up to him smiling and says,
"Yeah, I guess maybe you don't have it."
Ah! And now, well, and the thing too is, again, I don't quite understand Fletcher's plan here because he has to play more songs. His other drummers should be ready to come in. But that doesn't seem to be happening exactly. But it does. Again, I don't think it really matters. Andrew sits in this for a moment, looks out at the silent faces of the audience, and then he gets up and walks out. And then there is Dad rushing backstage from the lobby. Yep. And it's handheld behind him, and he goes up, and it's silent, and he embraces Dad. We cannot hear what's being said. Dad looks at him concerned, and then there's a moment, and then he turns around.
What are you doing?
And Andrew walks back out on stage.
I love it. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Fletcher, you don't get to determine my life, and you don't get to determine if I can do it or can't do it. This is Neiman breaking away from Fletcher once and for all, and breaking away from his father, because there's an argument to be made that both sides were trying to turn him into something that he isn't fully. And so he has to kind of, in essence, walk away from both fathers in order to walk out on his own and be his own man. This is a coming of age moment, this moment. And this is Rocky, getting up when Mickey's telling him to stay down. This is that thing, that sports movie thing you were talking about. It's so important. This scene always gives me goosebumps because not everyone can go back into the fight. No. Not everyone is built to go back into the fight. And he is willing to walk out there. And I think it's also amazing because this is everything I talked about earlier. And by the way, this is my headcanon, that he's a guy who has been embarrassed multiple times in a public way. He is now walking back out into the public, not knowing what is going to happen, but he's determined to do something. And he's going to confront this fear of being embarrassed in public. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a heroic moment, in my opinion.
I totally agree. This is the gunslinger moment. And what he's going into, in a way, is crazier than getting up and fighting Apollo Creed. Because he knows what fighting Apollo Creed is. He has no idea what's about to happen. There's no way for him to know if he's going to be able to take charge or even if he has that plan yet. By the way, one thing before we get into the actual music, which is amazing, is there is a deleted scene that happened here that I'm really happy was deleted. I haven't seen it, but I've heard what it was. And it was something like Paul Reiser comes backstage and tries to talk to his son, and a security guard says, "Sir, you can't come back here. You're not allowed back here." And apparently, again, I haven't seen the scene or read the script, but apparently Andrew denies the identity of his own father to get him ejected from backstage so that he can go back on stage or something like that. It's like it's like a Peter denying Jesus sort of, moment. And I think it would have ruined the movie.
I agree.
I think the movie already exists in a place where we're really conflicted about how we feel about its ending. But if Andrew rejected his father, who's done nothing but be loving and supportive the whole time, and then went on stage, we would feel totally different about this movie.
Yes, agreed. 100% agreed. He'd be much more ruthless. He'd be much more Fletcher than Neiman.
Yeah, then it would be pure just tragedy instead of living in this, how do I feel about this place, which is where I think it mostly lives.
Yeah.
Speaking of gunslingers, by the way, when he sits back down on that stool and pulls his sticks out of that slot, it's like the gun coming out of the holster, man.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah, man. I love it.
And Fletcher turns around to see him. And again, I'm like, he was gone for 45 seconds. You're just standing on stage doing nothing and nobody's been sitting in the drum. Just weird. Doesn't matter. And he looks completely determined. And I think Fletcher is trying to decide what to do. He turns around and does start introducing the next song. And initially in the script and the way they shot it was he completes the introduction and then Andrew starts playing without waiting for Fletcher's signal. And in post, they made the decision. They went, what if Andrew starts playing in the middle of the introduction? That's an editing choice. It's great.
Oh, so smart. So smart.
I'm guessing most of you folks have heard of it.
Fletcher, totally surprised, turns around and there's these quick cuts as he's playing, and the musicians are looking because the song has started, but the conductor ain't conducting.
Yeah.
I'll cue you in. Caravan.
He has taken control. He has taken control. Yep.
And Fletcher is like sitting there going, either I stop this publicly in Carnegie Hall in front of these people, or I go with it. And he cues them in and they start going. And Fletcher is deciding if he should participate. And finally, they sound good. And he starts conducting. Quick thing about sound, how they did the sound. And by the way, this movie, this independent film, won the Oscar for Best Sound Mixing, which is normally, that is an award that goes to the big Star Wars or science fiction movie. That's who usually gets that award. So for this independent movie to get this award is a real sign of how amazing it is. And part of that comes in how you record the sound. So I think I mentioned that like when they're doing their practices, it's generally the actual actors playing the music. They usually have a click track, which means it's like a metronome that keeps them on tempo. It keeps them on my tempo. So here they're playing to playback. So they pre-recorded the music and they're playing it back in the house. But what they're doing is they also have a boom mic that's recording all the live sound. So they have both the pre-recorded sound and the live sound. And it's mixing the two together. So you get the sound of the room and the echo and the reverb and the space that is part of what's making us feel that this pre-recorded music is really living in the real live space and it's happening live.
Wow.
That's part of what they're doing. This is the thing. And what I'll say about sound is in general, sound always gets fucked on movie sets. You spend 85% of your time working on picture. You're trying to light the set. You're waiting for the DP. You're tweaking the lights. You're bringing up flags. You have all of this crew. And at the last minute, you go, hey, where's the sound? And the sound guy's going, hey, I need this, I need that. And nobody cares. They don't give them the money. And the sound guy's going, oh, we got an airplane. We got to stop. And everyone goes, you've waited 4 hours for the G&E team and the DP to say they're ready. And then the sound guy goes, I got an airplane. And they go, fucking sound. And so sound always gets disrespected. And
it's true.
And there's this other thing you have to do that relates to this, which is at the end of every scene when you're shooting, you want to record what's called wild sound, which basically means everybody sit in the room and nobody move and no one say anything. And we're just going to, for 30 seconds to a minute, record the sound of the room. And this is when everybody's exhausted. It's the end of the day. We all want to go home. And everyone's like, all right, let's wrap up. Let's go. And sound goes, wait, wild sound. We need to get wild sound. And everyone goes, fucking sound. But this is how you get that Oscar, is doing this work at this time. That's part of the process. I think they sound good. But more importantly, Fletcher thinks they sound good. See it on his face. You can see it when he's conducting. And we are about to get I didn't look at the time. I should have. This is like a 10+ minute live music sequence.
Nonverbal. Totally nonverbal. It's amazing.
It is so ballsy to do this. And the thing is, because it's this musical piece, the editing has to be, it's like cutting a music video. So when you're editing, you're cutting for emotion. That's your goal, is I want everyone to feel all the things I feel with these characters. But what you can't do when you're cutting the scene is cut anything out of time or out of order, because it has to be specifically on the beat with all the musicians specifically playing what they're playing, exactly they're playing it. I cannot adjust tempo at all when cutting this because I have to stick to the it's not my tempo, you know?
Yeah.
So like this is so to get all the emotions out of this is really difficult in terms of editing. They do it beautifully.
Yeah.
And we're going to get every single shot of the instruments, particularly the drums, high angles, low angles, close-ups, wide shots, everything we can get as we go through this. And Fletcher comes forward, leans into the drums, and says, "I'm gouge out your motherfucking eye." And Neiman hits the cymbal to, I think, hit Fletcher in the face.
Yes. Yes. It's amazing.
And then gives him the full-on hard-eyed gunslinger stare.
Yeah.
Like, you are not going to fuck with me. And Fletcher is grooving and he's watching. And what's really interesting is he's looking at Andrew. And to me, what it feels like is he sees something. It's not just that he sees that he's playing well. He sees something specific that Andrew is doing and he likes it. And then we get these whip pans where we're on Fletcher and then the camera whips to Andrew and then it whips back to Fletcher and then it whips back to Andrew. And I don't know about the feeling that you get, but the feeling I get is what the director is showing us is that these guys are in sync. They are one. They are connected in the deepest way people can be connected musically.
Yep. 100%. 100%. It's amazing. And because again, remember, this is Neiman playing with this band for the first time. So it is like the fact that he can get everyone to get on board with him is amazing, because people will tell you can't just walk into a band and start playing. Everyone's kind of styles are different. So you got to find the mesh, how to mesh with them. And so, it's amazing how they pick up what Neiman is doing and lead. So they're no longer following Fletcher. They're following Neiman, which is great.
And here's how this is happening, by the way, which is Damien Chazelle is standing right behind the camera operator and he is tapping his shoulder every moment he wants him to do a whip pan. So the timing is coming from Damien Chazelle. And I've done stuff. You end up having to do this as a director. It's for various reasons, because you're the only one who can kind of know what the timing is. But it's a weird skill, because what you have to do is you have to figure out what is the delay reaction time between the tap and when he actually executes the whip pan, because it's always going to be a half second late. And so therefore you have to make your tap a half second earlier or a half beat earlier than when you actually want the whip pan to happen. So it's actually hard, and it's hard for I don't know if you've ever been tapped and had to do something instantly that second, but it's actually hard to do perfectly for the camera operator too. It's really hard.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about that relationship.
Fair enough. We'll leave that alone.
Please.
And now we're building, because we've heard the song before. We're building to the climactic moment, to the end of the song, and we build. It's a perfect build, and Fletcher does his classic fist stop thing, and Andrew Neiman keeps playing the drums.
Yeah, man. I love it.
And what I love too is they obviously had a tech rehearsal.
With
the lighting design, because the light board operator knew when the end of the song was, and he took all the lights out.
Yeah.
So Andrew is playing in the dark for a second, and then the stage manager and the light board operator obviously figured out the song wasn't over, and the lights come back on, and the camera moves from drum to drum. Again, every single shot, knee level, high angles, the cymbal, the hi-hat, everything, we see it, and we're just with him as he's playing. And Fletcher comes in not with the anger that he came in before, I think, because they actually played the song really well. And he comes in quietly, says,
Andrew, what are you doing, man? I'll cue you.
He doesn't ask. There is just, this is what's going down. And Fletcher stands there, and then he nods.
This is the Morpheus Neo moment. He has become the one in this moment, and he no longer needs Morpheus. And Neiman no longer needs Fletcher. He has taken control. He has transcended to that level. Now his confidence matches his ability, and he is complete. It's an amazing moment there with him. But I'll bring something up a little bit later to see what you think about it. But I love this whole entire end to this film, man.
He's playing, now he's just on the hi-hat. We see the blood on the fingers. He's playing soft but fast. And then the sound becomes kind of more subjective for a moment, and we kind of hear the rhythm, but we're more in his world. And again, Chazelle makes the choice to he likes to study what he's looking at. He looks at the ear, the fingers, the drum, the foot, the leg, like he's kind of deconstructing the moment visually for us. And then the sound is getting bigger, and there's a huge build, and we cut to, and you've mentioned this shot multiple times as this build is happening. The camera pushes in through a crack in the stage door towards Paul Reiser's face, who has an expression on it, a transformation of his face. So what do you feel is happening for Dad in this moment?
This man is no longer his son. And what's fascinating to me is if you look at the deleted scene you brought up, Steve, which I had not put in context, you could almost argue this is a bit of a Jesus moment where if you watch Passion of the Christ, you know that moment where Jesus goes down to confront the devil and he's tempted by all the things that could be his life, right? It's Last Temptation of Christ, where we did it on the show, right?
Yeah.
You saw the devil was like, look, you could have this life with Mary Magdalene. You could grow old. You could have kids. You don't have to sacrifice your life. You don't have to die for our sin, for human beings' sins. You don't have to do what your father has asked you to do, what God has asked you to do. And in a way, this is that moment for Neiman. And Paul Reiser is Joseph. Jesus is no longer his son. He belongs to the world now. And that's how I see it. And he, to use a kind of a loose connection. And that's what I see Paul Reiser's face. Oh my God, this is what the greatness he was telling me he was always capable of. And maybe I secretly never believed he was capable of. And now I'm seeing what he's capable of. And if you went back to him and it was a video game and he was glowing, you would, like the Blues Brothers in that scene where the light goes on Belushi, like you would believe it. Because I think that's how he sees it, that Andrew has leveled up, and everything Andrew has told him that he could be, that he wanted to be, that he was destined to be, now his father finally sees it. And we've talked about this, when your father finally sees you in something, or you talked about those two plays, like that's the moment where they realize, oh my God, this is their destiny. And it's amazing.
So that's pretty much how I've always interpreted it. And in the moment of, I never really saw or understood my son, or understood the greatness, the potential, the ability, the level that my son is at that is so far beyond anything I understood before. And that's what I saw. And I was looking at it again, and that's probably still how I emotionally react. But I also went, my son just walked back to his abuser in the situation. It's also Charlie Parker dead at 34 from a heroin overdose. There could be that too. There could be, I've lost my son, it's not the emotional reaction I have, but I'd like,
right. I can see the logic of that, Steve, completely. I just I think when you put it in the context of it, because he takes control of the band, I don't see him going back to the accuser. I see him beating the accuser, but I can totally see, like, as a father looking at that, like, you might be like, well, fuck, I've lost him, to this guy, to this life, to this belief. And he may end up, like you said, as Charlie Parker does, dying of drug overdose or something.
And now Fletcher and Andrew are one. They are together. They're in contact. The sound is building. He's nodding. He's wiping his face. And then Fletcher gestures for him to bring it down.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're now going to slow this drum roll from fast and frenetic to incredibly slow. And this is my understanding that this is a Buddy Rich move. Like this is one of the things he used to do. And my very limited jazz understanding, or I'm not a musician, is that what he is doing is unbelievably, incredibly difficult.
Yes.
And what makes it difficult is that we have an incredible ear for rhythm and melody. And any tiny, like if I changed there's some things I could change editorially. Like if I'm editing, which I do all the time, music, and it's like a Hans Zimmer drone from Dark Knight that goes like,
Right.
"Wah," and I want to put a cut in the middle of it. I could put that cut pretty much anywhere I want, and I do it all the time in backgrounds for the show. And the odds are nobody's going to hear it. I put a little dissolve in, no one's aware of it. If I have a melody that's subtle, I can put a shitty cut in it. I get a good cut means that I obey all the musical rules and edit music properly, which is difficult and something I love to do. And I frequently don't take the time to do it on the Cine-Files because it's really time consuming. So what I'll do is I'll make a musically pretty good cut, put a tiny dissolve on it, and then I'll have me say right over where that cut is. So my hides my shitty edit, and hopefully people don't hear it.
Right.
If all you're listening to is Andrew slowing down this rhythm, the change in the deceleration has to be 100% consistent. That it's not just keeping a constant rhythm. It's that I need to change rhythm at an exactly consistent rate over a very long period of time, which is incredibly difficult to do. And it is also why my guess is in this sequence, you are going to hear me make shitty music edits because I am not going to be able to keep the sense of all of this music working absolutely perfectly in the background and fit perfectly with the timing of our conversation and describing it. It's just not going to happen well.
Well, do your best. Do your best.
I'll do my best. So we slow down and we're getting slower and slower. And strangely enough, as it gets slower, it gets more intense for me.
Yeah.
Slower and quieter leads to more intense. And they are linked. They're in sync. They're together. He brings it down. There's all this intention. And when he gets to the right point, Fletcher gestures for him to bringing it up. And now he starts bringing it up and it begins to build. It's coming up. Fletcher's hand is coming up. He's nodding. It grows faster. And then the bass comes in. Fletcher yells something, but we can't hear it. Starts conducting, backs up, intense, nodding, takes his jacket off because this is so great. He cannot even begin to conduct this while clothed. Builds up to this big ending. You think it can't possibly get any bigger. And then it stops. There's a look between them. We see Fletcher smile, then the final black and a drum hit. And that is the end of Whiplash.
Very well described, Steve. I just
well, we'll see if I can make it fit with the music. The description was actually the easy part. And now the goal is when I did that, you heard that music end exactly when I said it ended.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And you didn't hear, because what you're going to hear, and I the odds are this is going to happen. If you go back and listen to my description, you are going to hear somewhere in the middle that rhythm accelerate too fast or decelerate a little bit in the middle for me to make space for my description to be the exact same length as the piece of music. And that is why the music editing of this is really, really hard. And you know what? If you hear me fail as the editor in this, what I hope it does, no, I'm serious about this, is what I hope it does is give you more respect for the editing of this sequence and the sound design that you actually see when you watch the movie, because it is perfect. So we've gotten to a Patreon question. It's not really a Patreon question.
Oh, okay.
It is really a Patreon discussion.
Okay.
Is that someone asked this question, and then a whole bunch of people that include but are not limited to Ryan Lieb, Mark Kalzer, Jack Hughes, and a whole bunch of other people on Patreon started arguing about the ending of the movie.
Wow.
Is this endorsing Fletcher's behavior, or is it a condemnation of Fletcher's behavior? How are we supposed to feel about where Andrew is at this movie, and what is this movie trying to tell us?
So here's what I would say. I don't think this movie is trying to tell us anything. I think what this movie is trying to say is this is a complex relationship, and this is the next stage of this relationship. They may never see each other again after this, or they may work together again. And in a way, maybe Neiman changes Fletcher to be a bit softer. And there's different, like, it's a possibility. He has made Neiman tougher. There's a possibility that Neiman can make Fletcher a little softer, and they find a happy medium and they go forward. But this is by no means the end of the relationship. To make a sweeping generalization of whether his tactics are effective or not effective, I think is a bit of a waste of time. Because, and no offense to anybody who's had these discussions about it, because I think it's fun to discuss this stuff. But I think in this moment, by the end, just because they are in sync does not mean anything that Fletcher did ultimately was correct. It just means that because Neiman is constructed a certain way, and Steve said that, you said this earlier, it's moment to moment. There's no generalizations. Neiman went through hell and back, but he embraced his power at the end of this movie. He takes control of the band. He makes Fletcher meet him at his level. All right. And that's the difference there. So whatever Fletcher did, it may have in some way contributed to Neiman, but in no way did it form Neiman. Neiman was already this. Something just had to crack open for him to come forward.
He was already Charlie Parker, and Charlie Parkers cannot be denied.
100%. Exactly. And so he got there. Now, was Fletcher a part of it? Sure. But so was his dad. So was the girlfriend for a little while. So was his experiences. So was all the knowledge. So was all the training that he did. So was all the ways that he pushed himself. There were all of those things. Because Fletcher could say whatever he wants. It's Neiman who had to push himself. It's Neiman who had to show the desire. So in the end, that's what I think for me, that's what I take away from the film. When I was younger, I debated whether it was showing us whether Fletcher was right or wrong. But as an older man looking at it now, I think it's more a snapshot of this time in this relationship, and who knows where they go from here. And I don't think in any way does it validate or destroy Fletcher's tactics either way. I think it's just a matter of you've got to decide for yourself where you sit with it. But I think this is, for me, a heroic moment for Neiman embracing his power and becoming Michael Jordan in a way, you know?
So many thoughts. So the first thing, I 100% agree. It is Neiman choosing his power. It is heroic in its way. I definitely think that. I think this forms him 100%. I think there is no doubt in my mind from this movie that Andrew Neiman goes on to be one of the greats, as he wanted to be. Like that is, and I also think that Fletcher contributed to that journey. And I 100% agree with you. There was a thing in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, which was about the 10,000 hour thing and how certain people had, and one of the things he talks about is that Bill Gates had this ridiculous access to computer mainframes when he was in junior high, and that's part of why he became Bill Gates. But part of what Malcolm Gladwell mentions is that Bill Gates snuck out of the window of his bedroom at 2:00 in the morning because he had the key to the computer lab, broke into the computer lab, was there from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. every morning, then went home and pretended to be asleep before going back to school and going back to the computer lab. That's Andrew Neiman. You know, it's like the drive it takes to do that, Neiman had regardless. Now, Fletcher might have turned it up to 11, but Neiman did have that drive. I agree with all that. In terms of the outcomes, the one outcome I don't think you mentioned is that they could be in a relationship, and instead of Andrew having made Fletcher a little softer, which frankly I don't think is likely in any way from what I've seen of Andrew and Fletcher, the other possibility is that Andrew's just become another Fletcher. Like he's just adopted he becomes much harder.
I don't buy it. And listen, again, different point. I just don't buy it because he has Paul Reiser. Because his dad loves him. I don't think Fletcher has any love in his life. And I think this is what keeps him from becoming a Charlie Parker. Because he won't turn to drugs. He won't fall into that path. Because the way he embraces this and makes Fletcher come to him, I think that's why he can change Fletcher. Because Fletcher wanted to gouge out by the end, Fletcher's fixing the cymbal. By the end, he's cueing Fletcher and Fletcher's taking direction from Neiman. That changes the dynamic of the relationship.
I totally think
there's a chance. Yeah.
Well, but I think part of the thing is what does Andrew think of Fletcher's technique? Does Andrew believe I absolutely needed Fletcher to be that horrible to me? Because then he's going to be that horrible to young musicians coming up. You know?
Well, that's a fair point. But like you talked about earlier about martial arts and your senseis, you are an amalgamation of all the senseis that you learned.
100%,
under,
yeah.
right? Right, yeah. And I think Neiman is going to have another teacher next in this next phase of his career, and could be completely different because he's taken all he can take in from Fletcher, and it's not his responsibility to go and stop Fletcher from doing this. It's the school's responsibility, or it's the other people's personal responsibilities, the parents' responsibilities. This is Andrew's journey. This is just a stop on Andrew's journey.
Right.
You know, and I think that's how I look at it. This isn't the destination. This is just a stop. And it's very possible we never see, and I think that's where I've kind of leaned towards, is he never sees Fletcher again. He just moves on to the next thing because he's already conquered this phase like a video game.
I hope so. The one other thing, and it's just the difference in the way you see the world, is that you have this way of thinking that is, there are some people that are chosen. Like that's part of your,
I do believe
and
that.
that's not how I see the world. And so like, I don't think he was destined to be Charlie Parker or anything else. I don't think people have destinies. That's not how I look at the world.
Really?
So,
You don't think people have destinies?
Of course not.
You don't think Michael Jordan had a destiny to be the greatest basketball player? Wow.
No. Well, it depends on what you mean by destiny. Destiny means that something was predetermined by some force that this had to happen. I don't believe in God. I don't believe their forces predetermine our life. I don't believe in inshallah. I don't think things are written.
Well, then how can you? Okay, well then how can you? I get that you don't get. Then that's totally fair. Of course, if my belief can exist, so can your belief system.
Of course,
it's a balance. So the question I come back to though is like, well, how do you explain how people are like Amadeus? How do you explain Mozart? He was gifted from the beginning.
Yeah, some people are born with incredible talent, but there's no chooser.
Being chosen?
No, well, who's choosing?
Oh, you think there's no chooser? That's where I just had to understand your mindset of
it's like intelligent design. The problem with the argument of intelligent design is it is a total misinterpretation of what evolution is.
Right.
The whole point of evolution is nobody's designing it. It's just a bunch of shit that happens. Like, I think life is just a bunch of shit that happens. And the meaning that exists in life is the meaning that we give it as we move through it. That our brains construct a meaning to make sense of things that, it's not that there aren't reasons that all sorts of things happen. There are tons of reasons, but there isn't a guiding force deciding you are going to be Michael Jordan and be the greatest basketball player of all time, and you're not. You know, and to me, my version has way more freedom. It's like, oh, I wasn't chosen. No, I can be whatever I want to be. In your version, someone's made the choice for you. You know,
you think you can be whatever you want.
I think I can be whatever. No,
right.
Well,
you might not be able to
because a whole bunch of shit is going to happen that I don't control.
Yeah, possibly.
You know. So anyway, but I know
That's
we've
a
gone
fascinating approach. No, I love this discussion. Sorry, it's a great discussion. Maybe someday this could rival our objective versus subjective conversation.
Well, sure. This is big, basic worldview stuff.
Yes,
but I do have another thought that I want to share with you.
Please.
And I only had this thought today. And I'll tell you what made me think of it. And it sort of changed this movie for me a bit. Not in a bad way, but just in thinking about it. Because when we started, I said the big thing I've been thinking about wasn't Fletcher, it's Andrew. Is that he is harsher, he's darker, he's more competitive, he can be meaner than I really thought about. And I started to go like, it's not, again, it's not just this monster and this nice kid. That is not what's happening in this movie. And here is the thought that I had, I suddenly flashed to Annie Hall and Chasing Amy. Both Annie Hall and Chasing Amy have endings where the character in the movie constructs an ending where they get what they didn't get in the actual story. In Chasing Amy, he writes a comic book where he gets Amy. And in Annie Hall, he writes a play in which at the end, Annie goes with him rather than not rejecting him.
Okay.
And I suddenly went, oh, this is a movie written by a guy who had an abusive high school jazz teacher that he never got over. And in the end of the movie, the representative of that guy doesn't reject his abuser. He beats his abuser and impresses his abuser and makes his abuser love him. That's what actually happens at the end of the movie. And I suddenly went, on some level, I feel like this is fulfilling the thing that Damien didn't get to do,
So This leads back to something. I'm so glad you said this because this leads back to something I forgot to ask you a few minutes ago. And so this might line up perfectly with what you're saying because I might be on the same wavelength, but from a different direction. What do you think? And this occurred to me as I was watching it this time. When the lights go out, that is the actual end of this story. When the lights come back up is when Andrew takes control. So is this all a dream, a fantasy dream, like the play, like the taxi driver situation, like this thing, like is all the thing that everything that happens after the lights come back up, is that all in Andrew's mind? And I just wonder about that.
I have never had this thought ever. But the second you said when the lights went down, I went, oh, fuck, John is speculating that this whole last piece could be a fantasy.
Yeah, listen, I take the movie and I said what I said a few minutes ago. Like if I take the movie as a whole, that's what I believe. But this is a possibility that the end of the movie is a dream sequence or a fantasy from Andrew sitting on that chair there after they've finished the song.
Here's what's funny is because this has been said now multiple times in the course of this analysis of the movie. For instance, when we speculated about whether or not Andrew on purpose lost that score,
right?
Which is, and what I said was, I see no visual evidence in the movie to lead me to believe that that is true. But I also have no reason to believe that it's not true. And we said this multiple times about multiple moments in this film, and this is another one. I never had this feeling. Emotionally, I've never felt that feeling. I've never had that thought. So I don't see like visual evidence that is specifically leading me by the director to indicate the possibility that this is a fantasy. But I also see no evidence that it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
because
like,
it so drastically changes.
Yeah.
The relationship drastically changes from the time the lights go out to when the lights come back up. You know?
And it's also like all the things that are weird, like where is the other drummer? Why is Fletcher letting this happen? Why is Fletcher doing this the way he's doing it? And frankly, why is Fletcher behaving in a way that seems entirely out of character in this moment with Andrew? Well, that would explain all of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The going dark to light. Yeah, I love it. It just occurred to me when I was watching it this time. I was like, oh my God, because you're right. What you said, the lighting designer knows when to turn the lights off because it's cued by his hand. So if the lights come back on, in a way, when it goes dark, that's the end of the actual story. What happens after the lights go back up is possible. And remember, Andrew's in a car accident. This could be a part of his residual effects from that mentally, that he sees this as a fantasy. I think what would have really solidified it is if you look to the right and what's her face was there. That would have been
then it would have been
100%.
Yeah,
like you said, the director would have guided us to that point. But I think this is a much more interesting way to look at it.
And Connolly and Tanner are applauding, and that would be real
and
clear.
His dad is running through the audience going, "That's my son up there."
And mom comes back.
Mom comes back. Right through the door. Oh my God, yes. I always knew you had it in you.
That's why I left, because I knew it would motivate you. And Fletcher is his real father. But anyway, but aside from all that,
we digress.
What I actually think this points out is this is why this is a great ending. Is 100%. That people can watch this and be 100% Fletcher was right. They can be 100% Fletcher was a monster. They can be 100% Fletcher and Andrew live happily ever after. Andrew becomes a great musician on his own, never speaks to him again. This is wish fulfillment for the director. This is a fantasy. And they can, and this is what makes great films, is all these people can sit and argue about them, and the film stays alive in their minds forever. That's what makes it a great film.
I agree. It's the spinning top at the end of Inception. 100%.
So in 2014, the director of the short film, Whiplash, returns to Sundance with a feature-length film where it is a massive hit. It wins the Audience Award at Sundance and the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. Would you like to know how often that has ever happened?
Sure.
Twice in the history of Sundance, and the last one was Josephine, which I think is last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this has almost never happened. And Sundance is incredibly difficult to get in. So winning both awards is amazing.
Yeah.
It's released on October 10th, 2014. It expanded pretty quickly to 500 theaters, which is really big for a movie of this size. It made $50 million on a $3.3 million budget.
Damn, man.
It was nominated for picture, screenplay, editing, and sound mixing, and Best Supporting Actor for J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons won Best Supporting Actor. If you're curious about some of the other people up for that award, we have Robert Duvall for The Judge, Ethan Hawke in Boyhood, Ed Norton in Birdman, and Mark Ruffalo in Foxcatcher.
Ooh, Ruffalo's the only other one that I would remotely even consider. But I think J.K. won this by miles, man.
Yeah, Foxcatcher is the only one I haven't seen. So I actually have, which I've heard is great, and I keep meaning to watch. But yeah, I feel the same way. Editing was won by American Sniper. Best Picture was won by Birdman that year. As I said, Whiplash won for Best Sound Mixing against American Sniper, Birdman, Interstellar, and Unbroken. Winning against Interstellar. Winning against... a Christopher Nolan movie. I haven't looked at how many Christopher Nolan movies have won awards for sound, but my guess is most of them. You know, here's the really interesting thing. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Do you know why it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay?
Is it because it was a short first?
Because it was a short first. But the thing is, Damien Chazelle did not submit it for Best Adapted Screenplay. He submitted it for Best Original Screenplay. Why? Because he wrote this before the short. The only reason he did the short was he took a scene out of his feature film,
right,
to make it for to raise the money to make the feature. So this isn't based on the short. The short is based on this script. But the Academy rejected that and said, no, there's an existing property already. Our rule says it has to be for adapted screenplay. Would you like to know the movies in original screenplay if it had competed in the category, which I think is where it should have been?
Okay, please.
They were Boyhood, Foxcatcher, Grand Budapest Hotel, Nightcrawler, and Birdman.
I think Birdman would have won. Did it win the best?
Yeah, Birdman won.
I think it still would have won. It still would have won.
Yeah, but I do think it was where it should have been. And John, we have reached the end of Whiplash.
I feel like we just drummed a whole song ourselves. I'm exhausted. What an amazing conversation.
Recording the Cine-Files is like drumming a cardio event. This is not, and sometimes it's both a sprint and a marathon simultaneously.
Yes,
you know, so I will give my final thoughts first because I don't know if I have a lot of final thoughts because I feel like I've said most of them. Which is, this is a great movie. The announcement of a great new director. And really, with incredible performances, incredible music, the editing style is fantastic, the sound is fantastic, and what it really does, which is what I love about movies, is not just watching the movie, but the conversation about the movie. It's talking about Fletcher and his tactics, which led you and I to talk about parenting, to talk about both of our experiences as our artists, both of our experiences with parents, all of the what it's like coming up as a young man and the things we've learned as an older man and what we think of other artists in the world. All of those conversations are contained in this hour and 40-minute movie and inspired by it. And that's why I'm going to come back again and again to Whiplash.
Yeah. My final thoughts are this is becoming one of the great classics. You know, it's hard for us to talk about films nowadays and say the word classics. We say modern classics to kind of like save us from fully trying to compare it to The Godfather or Apocalypse Now or, you know, Lawrence of Arabia. But I think Whiplash, of the 26 years we've been in the 2000s, like I think this is a film that is up there amongst the greats and can be considered a classic as we advance a little farther and farther away from the movie. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this movie on TCM one day with a J.K. Simmons or Miles Teller or Damien Chazelle conversation about the movie. And because it, as you said, it inspires so much conversation. And the film, as the great films do, as the classics do, it never goes out of style. It may feel dated, but the concepts are always, they always feel very topical and present and recent. And all the conversations going on in this film do that, as you mentioned so well, Steve. The conflict of the artist, who should be conducting nowadays, who should be teaching, who should not be teaching. What are the parameters? What are your responsibilities to students? Are they listening? They're not listening. And then the parenting, what's it like to parent a child who has this kind of ability? You know, all these things that are coursing through the film. And I think for young people coming up, this is an incredible film to watch that captures you at this time in your 20s with all your raging feelings of emotion and things you want to accomplish, things you want to do if you believe you're destined to do something, and what sometimes you may have to navigate and go through in order to achieve these things or avoid in order to achieve these things. And that's what makes this film so great, from the script to the cinematography, to the direction, to the acting, to the music and the editing, as you mentioned so well, Steve, all of it combining together to be a film that leaves an everlasting impression on you every single time you watch it. And that, to me, defines a classic and elevates Damien Chazelle, elevates Miles Teller, and elevates J.K. Simmons even more. I think all three of those people came away from this movie completely different in the public's eyes. And that's another that's another powerful thing about this movie.
So that's what we think of Whiplash. We would love to hear your thoughts, in particular about maybe your journey as an artist, what your mentors have been like, and what you feel about Terrence Fletcher as a teacher. And did he do the right thing? Was this what Andrew Neiman needed? We'd love to hear that on our Facebook page. You can do a search for the Cine-Files. It's Cine_Files on X, the Cine-Files podcast on Instagram. And of course, please subscribe to the show if you haven't already. We're getting so many great discussions on Spotify now because you can comment on individual episodes. We'd love to hear your thoughts there. And of course, you can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Please support the show on patreon.com/the Cine-Files or Apple Podcasts, where you can hear ad-free versions of the show. Listen to our Cine-Files short. We have one going out right now that's on the Hulk Hogan documentary, but also on celebrity documentaries and celebrity biopics in general, and what the ethics of filmmakers are when they make those kinds of movies. We'd love to have you check that out. And if you want to reach me, it's SR Morris on Twitter, SR Morris1 on Instagram. John, how would folks reach you?
You can always reach me at The Rocha Says on all my social media. Please feel free to drop me a DM to talk about this movie as well. I almost never say that, but this film, I think, warrants some discussion. And you can always please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, where I have all those shows that I do, the Hot Mic Geek Buddies, the Jedi Way, Spill the Tequila, and my reactions and reviews, and The Truth that I have there on the channel as well. So come and hang out with me there, as well as subscribing to our own YouTube channel, The Cine-Files, where we try to go live every month with one special show. So make sure you subscribe to us there as well.
Well, and speaking of going live with one special show, that's actually what we're going to be doing next week. I believe it's going to be this next weekend, but we don't have the exact date or time. So check our social media for our upcoming live show on the Cine-Files YouTube channel.